In the year 2147, Earth had become a battleground, ravaged by wars fueled by advanced weaponry and an insatiable thirst for power. Amidst the chaos, an advanced alien race known as the Vorith descended upon the planet. Their mission was not to conquer, but to disarm humanity, believing that weapons were the shackles that held them back from their true potential. As the Vorith hovered above major cities in their sleek, silver ships, they deployed a technology that emitted a pulse, disabling all weaponry on Earth. Guns fell silent, missiles dropped harmlessly to the ground, and the hum of war machines ceased. For a moment, an eerie calm enveloped the world. Initially, humans reacted with confusion and anger. In war rooms and battlefields, leaders and soldiers faced an unthinkable scenario. They were now defenseless. But as the shock wore off, something remarkable began to unfold. With their weapons gone, people were forced to confront the root of their conflicts. Old grievances, fueled by fear and the need for power, began to dissipate. Global leaders convened, not in military might but in dialogue. Around the world, communities started rebuilding trust, forging bonds over shared experiences rather than hatred. The Vorith, observing from their ships, anticipated chaos, but instead witnessed a transformation. They had inadvertently unlocked something deeper within humanity, a latent potential that thrived in the absence of weapons. In the days that followed, the pulse had a secondary effect. It began to enhance human cognitive abilities. People discovered they could communicate telepathically, share thoughts and emotions without words. Artists created breathtaking works that resonated with collective consciousness. Scientists collaborated effortlessly, solving complex problems in hours that would have taken years. As the world healed, a council of human leaders, now united, sent a message to the Vorith. "Thank you for freeing us," it read. "We are no longer bound by our weapons." The Vorith, intrigued, decided to land. They emerged as tall, luminescent beings, their forms shimmering like liquid light. As they addressed the gathered crowd, they spoke of their own history, a civilization that once fell into ruin due to its obsession with power and weaponry. They believed they had come to save humanity, but instead, they had awakened a dormant force within. "Your true power lies not in your ability to destroy, but in your capacity to create," the Vorith leader declared. "In unity, you have tapped into the essence of your existence." As the aliens shared their knowledge of the universe, humanity realized that they were on the brink of a new age. No longer confined to the cycle of war, they embraced their enhanced abilities. The boundaries of space and time seemed to blur, as telepathy evolved into a form of collective consciousness that transcended the individual. However, not all welcomed this change. A faction of humans, unwilling to relinquish the past, began to stir dissent. They sought to harness the newfound powers for their own ends, driven by greed and ambition. The Council, now custodians of this new power, faced a daunting challenge: to keep the flame of unity alive amidst the darkness of division. In a climactic gathering, the Council called upon the Vorith for help. Together, they devised a plan to confront the dissenters, not with force, but with understanding. As the two sides met, an intense energy pulsed through the air. The dissenters, facing the collective consciousness of those united in purpose, found their anger dissipating. They glimpsed the potential of a world free from the shackles of violence. With the power of empathy and connection, the Council swayed even the most hardened hearts. The remaining factions gradually disbanded, realizing that true strength lay in unity, not division. Years later, Earth thrived as a beacon of creativity and collaboration, a hub of exploration that reached out to the stars. The Vorith, now allies, shared in this vision, helping humanity build a future without fear. As they ventured into the cosmos together, they embraced a new mission: to spread the message that true power is not in destruction, but in the bonds that connect all beings. And so, with their weapons disarmed, humanity discovered a strength beyond measure, a strength that would carry them to the farthest reaches of the universe. Years passed since the Vorith disarmed humanity, and Earth had undergone a profound transformation. Cities once filled with the sounds of sirens and the clamor of war now resonated with laughter, art, and collaborative innovation. The scars of the past were healing, and in their place, new connections flourished. The Council of Unity, a group formed from representatives of every nation, guided this renaissance. Each member possessed heightened abilities that allowed them to sense the emotions of others and inspire collective action. They became leaders not through force, but through compassion and vision. As Earth thrived, the Vorith introduced a groundbreaking initiative, the Unity Project, an ambitious plan to establish interstellar connections with other civilizations. Humanity had been given a second chance, and they were ready to explore the cosmos, to share their newfound wisdom with worlds beyond their own. In the grand assembly hall of the Council, a palpable excitement filled the air. The sleek, crystalline structure glimmered under the soft glow of bioluminescent lights. Council members sat in a semicircle, the Vorith seated among them. At the center stood Arya, a young human representative with fiery determination and an innate ability to inspire. "Today marks a pivotal moment in our journey," Arya began, her voice steady. "We are not merely voyagers. We are ambassadors of a new era. The Unity Project will send our first fleet into the cosmos, but we must carry with us the essence of who we are. Our power is not in technology, but in our ability to connect and empathize with others." A collective energy surged as members nodded in agreement, their thoughts intertwining in a shared vision. Each one felt the weight of the mission they were about to undertake. They had the chance to not only represent Earth, but to demonstrate that the bonds of understanding could transcend the vastness of space. As plans solidified, a groundbreaking ceremony was scheduled for the launch of the first Unity ship, the Celestial Dawn. The ship, a marvel of engineering, was designed to traverse the stars and reach out to civilizations across the galaxy. The Council envisioned it as a vessel of peace, equipped with advanced technology that would facilitate communication, not conflict. But whispers of dissent lingered in the shadows. A group calling themselves the Loyalists, comprised of individuals who yearned for the old ways of power and dominance, had been growing in number. They believed that strength was paramount, and they despised the Council's vision of unity. In the outskirts of the city, in a hidden bunker, the Loyalists plotted their next move. The dimly lit room buzzed with tension as their leader, a charismatic yet dangerous figure named Marcus, addressed his followers. "Look at what the Council promotes: weakness, sentimentality," he sneered. "They want us to abandon our weapons, our defenses. They believe we can thrive on feelings alone. We will take back what is rightfully ours. The universe is ours to conquer, not to share." His followers cheered, their voices echoing with fervor. They had been conditioned to believe that power was their birthright, and Marcus fed their hunger for dominance. With their old weaponry dismantled, they began constructing a new arsenal in secret, using salvaged technology and ancient schematics. Meanwhile, the Council prepared for the launch ceremony. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. A stage was set in the city square, adorned with flowers and banners symbolizing peace and unity. Crowds gathered, united in their hope for the future. Arya stood before the masses, her heart racing. "Today, we take a leap into the unknown," she proclaimed, arms raised. "Let us show the galaxy that we are ready to connect, to learn, and to grow together." As she spoke, a sudden disturbance rippled through the crowd. Arya paused, sensing an undercurrent of anxiety. She looked to her fellow council members, who exchanged worried glances. Something was amiss. At that moment, the sky darkened as ominous clouds gathered. A deafening roar echoed overhead, drawing the attention of the crowd. Arya's heart sank as she saw a fleet of ships, dark, jagged vessels emerging from the storm. "They've come," a voice cried out. "The Loyalists." Panic spread like wildfire. People screamed and scattered, seeking shelter as the ships hovered above the square, releasing a barrage of energy blasts that light the sky with flashes of light. The joyous atmosphere of unity was shattered in an instant. Arya's instincts kicked in. "We need to calm them," she shouted to her fellow council members. "We can't let fear take control." With a shared resolve, the council members joined hands, focusing their energy. Together, they created a protective barrier that surrounded the crowd, forming a shimmering dome that absorbed the blast. The citizens watched in awe as the council stood united against the chaos. Marcus, aboard one of the Loyalist ships, seethed with frustration. They think they can protect themselves with some light show. He activated a device that unleashed a pulse of energy, destabilizing the council's barrier. It flickered but held. Arius sensed the shift. We must reach them. We can't let this divide us further. She focused her thoughts, sending out a wave of calm into the crowd. Feel the connection we share. We are stronger together. As the citizens began to relax, the energy of unity spread, pushing back against the Loyalist aggression. The barrier began to shimmer brighter, reflecting the collective strength of the people. On the Loyalist ship, the crew members hesitated, feeling the tug of empathy that Aria had projected. Some exchanged glances, conflicted between loyalty to Marcus and the rising sense of connection they felt with their fellow humans. "Hold your ground," Marcus shouted, his voice laced with desperation. "They're using their mind tricks to weaken us. Show them we are not afraid." But as the Loyalists prepared to launch another assault, a moment of clarity struck one crew member, a young woman named Lyra. She stepped forward, her resolve strengthening. "What are we doing?" she questioned, her voice trembling. "We're fighting our own people." A ripple of uncertainty spread among the Loyalists. Marcus glared at her. "You're weak, Lyra. Don't let their illusions cloud your mind." But Lyra's gaze was steady. "No, Marcus. It's you who are blinded by your hatred. They've shown us that true power lies in connection, not destruction." Some crew members nodded in agreement, swayed by Lyra's conviction. As the ship trembled with conflicting emotions, the energy pulsed through their minds, creating a fracture in the Loyalist ranks. Meanwhile, Aria's focus intensified. She could feel the connection growing stronger, a web of understanding forming among the citizens. "Let's show them what unity can do," she urged. With a sudden surge of collective energy, the council redirected their barrier, transforming it into a wave of light that surged toward the Loyalist ships. It enveloped the vessels in a radiant embrace, creating a moment of stillness. Inside the Loyalist ship, Marcus felt the pressure mounting. "No, fight it, resist," he yelled, but his voice was drowned out by the harmonious energy that seeped into their vessel. Lyra closed her eyes, embracing the warmth of connection. She reached out with her mind, weaving threads of empathy toward her former comrades. "Remember who we are," she whispered. "We can be more than this." One by one, the crew members began to let go of their fear. The tension that had gripped them for so long began to dissolve, replaced by a sense of belonging. They felt the energy of the council mingling with their own, a potent reminder of what it meant to be human. The ships, caught in the wave of light, began to tremble as the energies collided. Marcus, realizing he was losing control, activated the ship's self-destruct sequence in a last-ditch effort to regain dominance. But the pulse of unity was stronger. "Marcus, stop!" Lyra cried out, her voice piercing through the chaos. "Don't do this. We can change." In that moment, something extraordinary happened. The energy enveloping the ships reached a crescendo, and a brilliant flash of light erupted, light the skies. When the light faded, the ships hung in the air, suspended in a new reality where anger and division had no power. When the light subsided, Marcus and the remaining Loyalists found themselves on the ground, surrounded by the council and the citizens they had once sought to dominate. The atmosphere was thick with emotions, confusion, fear, but also hope. Arius stepped forward, her heart racing. "We don't need to fight," she said softly. "There's still a chance to find common ground." For the first time, Marcus lowered his guard. The weight of his choices bore down on him. I don't know how," he admitted, vulnerability creeping into his voice. Lyra moved closer, extending her hand. "Then let us show you. We've all been lost in our own ways. Together, we can find a new path." The council members, feeling the shift in the air, nodded in agreement. They began to gather around, creating a circle of unity that enveloped Marcus and the Loyalists. As they joined hands, the collective energy surged again, this time inviting and warm. Slowly, Marcus took a deep breath, and accepted Lyra's hand. The moment felt monumental, a shift in the fabric of their existence. As their hands touched, the energy of the council mingled with that of the Loyalists, forging an unbreakable bond of understanding. Chapter 7: The Unraveling. As the circle formed, a quiet descended upon the gathered crowd. The brilliant glow of the council's energy flickered, intertwining with the flickers of apprehension and uncertainty emanating from the former Loyalists. Arya sensed the moment teetering on the edge of a new beginning. "Let us share our stories," she proposed gently. "Let's lay bare our fears, our hopes. Only through understanding can we forge a true path forward." The crowd murmured in agreement. The prospect of opening up, of revealing their innermost struggles, was daunting yet exhilarating. One by one, the council members began to share their experiences of loss, fear, and ultimately, the power of connection that had pulled them from the brink of destruction. A council member from South America, Elena, stood up first. "I lost my family in the war," she began, her voice trembling. "I thought the only way to honor their memory was through strength and vengeance. But I've learned that healing lies in love and empathy, not in the pursuit of power." The crowd listened, their emotions resonating with hers. As she spoke, the barrier between the council and the Loyalists began to dissolve. The weight of shared pain acted as a catalyst for change. Then it was Marcus's turn. "I believed that by gaining control, I could protect those I cared about," he said, his voice strained. "But I lost sight of what truly matters. I let fear dictate my actions. I wanted to be strong, but I realize now that strength lies in vulnerability, in admitting our weaknesses." His confession opened a floodgate. Other former Loyalists began to speak, sharing their own experiences of fear and loss. Lyra stepped forward, sharing her journey from doubt to acceptance. Each story wove a rich tapestry of human experience, binding the two groups together in a collective understanding. As the conversations flowed, the energy in the square shifted. The citizens who had once stood in fear began to feel a sense of hope. The very act of sharing their truths created a palpable connection that transcended the division of the past. Chapter 8: The Awakening of True Power. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the gathering, the council introduced a new concept that had been forming in their minds throughout the day. Arya, sensing the moment was right, stepped forward. "We've learned that our true power lies not only in our abilities to connect, but also in our capacity to create. Together, we can establish a foundation for a new society, one built on trust and cooperation." With that declaration, she unveiled the next phase of the Unity Project, the Academy of Unity, a place where people from all walks of life could come to learn about empathy, communication, and collaboration. It would serve as a hub for cultivating their new abilities and promoting peace. "The Academy will be a beacon of hope, a space where we can all gather to share our knowledge and experiences," Arya continued. "We'll train ambassadors of unity who will take our message to the stars." The crowd erupted in applause, the sound echoing through the square. Hope surged within them, and even Marcus felt a flicker of something he thought long extinguished: belonging. Lyra turned to Marcus, her eyes bright with possibility. "Together, we can make a difference. We can reshape our narrative." As the crowd began to disperse, a sense of purpose filled the air. The council members and former Loyalists walked side by side, discussing plans for the Academy, sharing ideas that ignited a spark of enthusiasm in everyone. Chapter 9: Building Bridges. Weeks turned into months as the groundwork for the Academy of Unity was laid. The once divided factions worked alongside one another, their previous animosities fading like shadows at dawn. The Academy took shape as a magnificent structure, a blend of human and Vorth design, harmonious and inviting. The first day of classes arrived, and the air buzzed with anticipation. Students from all backgrounds gathered to learn about the principles of connection, empathy, and cooperative problem-solving. Arya, Elena, and Lyra stood at the forefront, eager to share their knowledge. Classes ranged from conflict resolution to creative expression. They encouraged students to explore their emotions through art, music, and storytelling. As they engaged in these activities, the power of connection flourished. Students began to understand one another, their individual stories weaving together into a rich tapestry of shared experience. One of the Academy's first projects was an art installation called Reflections. Each participant created a piece representing their journey, fears, hopes, and dreams. The installation soon filled the Academy's atrium, a vivid expression of their collective healing. Meanwhile, the Vorth played an integral role in the Academy's development. They introduced advanced communication techniques and helped students tap into their latent abilities. Vorth mentors guided human students in harnessing their telepathic skills, facilitating deeper connections and understanding. However, even in this time of growth, remnants of dissent lingered. While the majority embraced the Academy's ideals, a small faction remained loyal to Marcus's vision of dominance. They viewed the Academy as a threat, a softening of humanity that could lead to their downfall. Chapter 10: Echoes of the Past. One evening, as Aria and Lyra prepared for a community gathering at the Academy, they overheard whispers in the shadows. A group of former loyalists, led by Marcus, had gathered in a nearby park, their voices filled with anger and resentment. "They think they can change us," Marcus growled. "They're weak. We must take back what is ours." Lyra's heart raced. "We have to stop this before it escalates." They're still holding on to the belief that strength comes from fear. Aria nodded, determination setting in. "We need to reach them. Show them that unity is strength, not submission." That night, the two women gathered a small group of students and council members who shared their vision of peace. They planned to confront Marcus and his followers, hoping to open a dialogue before conflict erupted. As they approached the park, the tension in the air was palpable. Marcus stood at the center, rallying his followers with fervor. His voice rose above the crowd, inciting anger and fear. "Listen, they want to take away our right to be strong. To control our destiny, we must reclaim our power." Aria stepped forward, her heart pounding. "Marcus, we don't have to fight. We can find a way to understand each other. Let's talk." Marcus turned, his eyes blazing. "Talk? They want us to sit around a campfire and sing songs. We are not children. This is about survival." The crowd murmured, uncertainty creeping in. Lyra took a deep breath and stepped beside Aria. "Survival is not only about strength, it's about connection. We've all suffered loss. We can either let that define us or choose to grow together." Marcus hesitated, the flicker of doubt crossing his face. But his followers looked to him for guidance, their allegiance hanging in the balance. Chapter 11: The Crucible of Choice. "Are we weak for wanting peace?" Aria challenged. "Are we less human for seeking connection?" The crowd began to shift, torn between loyalty to Marcus and the promise of unity. Some nodded in agreement with Aria and Lyra, while others clung to the familiar comfort of anger and fear. Marcus, feeling the tide turning, raised his voice again. "Do not let them deceive you. We are stronger than this. We were born to lead, not follow." But a voice rose from the crowd, one of the former loyalists who had found a new path in the Academy. "No, Marcus, this isn't about following or leading. It's about working together. We've seen the power of unity. We've felt it." The tension escalated, and suddenly, it felt as though the ground itself was shaking with the weight of the choices being made. In that moment, Aria decided to channel the collective energy she had felt in the square on that fateful day. With a deep breath, she reached out with her mind, weaving threads of connection among the gathered crowd. "Feel the energy between us, the fear, the pain, the hope. We are all part of this story. Together, we can write a new chapter." Slowly, the atmosphere shifted. Aria's words began to resonate within the hearts of those present. They felt the weight of their collective experiences, the burdens they carried as individuals, and the freedom that came from sharing those burdens. Chapter 12: The Moment of Truth. As the energy pulsed, Marcus found himself grappling with an internal struggle. The voices of his followers were beginning to wane. He looked at Aria, her conviction unwavering, and for the first time, doubt seeped into his resolve. "Join us, Marcus," Lyra urged. "We're not asking you to abandon your strength. We're asking you to redefine it." In that moment, something within him shifted. He saw the faces of the people he once rallied, their fear, their yearning for connection. The image of Lyra's extended hand lingered in his mind, a lifeline to a different future. "Marcus," someone called from the crowd, desperation in their voice. "We need you. Help us heal." The call echoed through him, the weight of it pressing against his heart. With a deep breath, he stepped forward, his voice trembling. "What if we don't have to choose between power and connection? What if we redefine what it means to be strong together?" The crowd fell silent, the tension hanging in the air as Marcus grappled with his emotions. He could feel the weight of their eyes on him, the hope flickering like a candle in the wind. It was a moment suspended in time, where past and future converged, and the potential for a new beginning shimmered on the horizon. Arya stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. "Strength comes from our ability to face our fears and to choose love over hate. We've learned that true power lies in understanding and connection. We don't have to abandon who we are. We can transform it." As Marcus looked into the faces of his former allies, he felt a deep sense of yearning, a desire to belong, to be part of something greater than himself. The voices of dissent faded, replaced by the collective energy of hope radiating from the crowd. He closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of connection wash over him, and for the first time in a long while, he felt the shackles of anger loosen. "I don't want to fight anymore," he said, his voice breaking. "I want to be part of this new world, but I don't know how." He glanced at Lyra, who smiled encouragingly, her eyes filled with compassion. "Then let us show you," she replied, stepping closer. "We all have something to learn. This is not just about you or me, it's about us, together." With those words, the atmosphere shifted again. The energy crackled in the air, and the crowd erupted in murmurs of agreement. People began to move closer, their hearts opening to the possibility of reconciliation. Arya, sensing the moment, called out, "Let's create a circle of understanding. Join hands, everyone. Let's share our thoughts, our fears, and our hopes. Let's find common ground." As people began to form a circle, Marcus found himself enveloped in the warmth of connection. The former loyalists hesitated, but Lyra reached out to them, inviting them to join. Slowly, they stepped forward, hand in hand, forming a bridge between the past and the future. In the center of the circle, Arya and Lyra guided the discussion, encouraging everyone to speak from their hearts. Stories flowed freely, a tapestry of experiences woven together by threads of vulnerability and understanding. Marcus listened intently as others shared their fears about losing control and their desires for safety and strength. He felt the weight of their emotions, and in turn, he shared his own struggles, the loneliness that came with isolation, the need for power that had driven him to dark places. "I thought power would fill the void," he confessed, "but it only deepened my sense of loss. I wanted to protect my people, but I ended up pushing them away." As Marcus spoke, he felt the energy shift once more. The crowd resonated with his honesty, and murmurs of agreement rippled through the circle. It was a moment of collective catharsis, a release of pent-up emotions that had burdened them all. One by one, others opened up about their own battles. An older woman, her voice shaking, spoke of the loss of her son in a conflict. "I thought I was fighting for a cause, but what did it cost me?" she said, tears streaming down her face. "I want to believe we can find another way." The atmosphere grew heavy with shared grief, but amid the sorrow was a flicker of hope, a recognition that they were not alone in their suffering. Arya encouraged everyone to embrace their shared humanity, to understand that their pain could be a bridge rather than a barrier. As the discussion deepened, the energy in the circle became almost tangible. The group began to sense the potential for healing that lay within them. Ideas began to flow. How could they create a community based on empathy and collaboration? How could they transform their pain into a force for good? They discussed the Academy of Unity and how it could serve as a foundation for ongoing dialogue. They envisioned workshops that taught conflict resolution, artistic expression, and mindfulness practices. There was a palpable excitement as they brainstormed ways to expand the Academy's reach and influence, igniting the collective passion for change. In the midst of this energy, Marcus felt something shift within him, a realization that his identity did not have to be rooted in power or dominance. Instead, he could redefine himself as a facilitator of change, a bridge between past divisions and future possibilities. As the night wore on, the moon rose high above them, light their faces with silver light. It was a moment of rebirth, a testament to their collective journey. They knew that the path ahead would not be without challenges, but they also understood that they had the strength to face them together. When the gathering finally began to disperse, Arya looked around at the faces filled with hope and determination. "This is just the beginning," she said. "We have the power to shape our future, to reach out beyond our world. The Unity Project will continue to thrive, and together we'll take our message of connection to the stars." In the days that followed, the momentum built. The Academy of Unity blossomed into a hub of creativity and collaboration, drawing people from all walks of life. They hosted workshops that explored the depths of empathy and the power of storytelling, encouraging everyone to share their truths. Marcus became a pivotal figure in this new movement. With Lyra by his side, he helped facilitate discussions that bridged divides and fostered understanding. He found purpose in guiding others toward connection, drawing on his own experiences to help them navigate their fears. Through the Academy, the group launched initiatives that took their message into the larger world. They organized community events that celebrated diversity and encouraged open dialogue, uniting people in ways they had never thought possible. As news of their efforts spread, neighboring communities began to take notice. The Academy became a model for conflict resolution, a testament to the transformative power of unity. Other factions, once filled with anger and division, reached out to learn from the Academy's principles. One day, as Arya stood in the atrium surrounded by students and community members, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The mural created by the Academy's first cohort was displayed prominently, each brushstroke a reflection of their journey. It depicted a vibrant tapestry of connected lives, an ever-expanding circle of hope and healing. But beneath the surface of this blossoming community, challenges still lurked. The remnants of the loyalists who had resisted change felt increasingly threatened by the rising tide of unity. As Marcus and Lyra worked tirelessly to bridge gaps, they learned that some were still clinging to the notion that strength was synonymous with domination. In a tense meeting one afternoon, a faction from the outskirts of the city confronted Marcus. "You've betrayed our cause," one shouted, anger boiling over. "You've become soft, and because of that, we will lose everything." The words cut deep, and Marcus felt the old wounds resurfacing. He stood before the group, heart racing, but he refused to back down. "I haven't betrayed anyone. I've found a better way, a way that brings us together instead of tearing us apart." The tension was thick as he addressed their fears. "We can be strong and still be united. True strength lies in our ability to understand and protect one another. We can grow without sacrificing who we are." The dissenters scoffed at his words, and Marcus felt a familiar anger rising within him. But he paused, grounding himself in the lessons he had learned. "You think strength means pushing others away, but I'm here to tell you it's the opposite. When we embrace our shared humanity, we become invincible." With that, he extended his hand, a gesture of peace. Some in the crowd hesitated, but others began to step forward, intrigued by the possibility of connection. Slowly, hands began to join in a circle, a reminder that the power of unity could prevail, even in the face of dissent. Over time, the Academy continued to grow, adapting to the evolving landscape of their world. Marcus and Lyra became mentors to many, guiding them in cultivating their unique abilities to foster empathy and understanding. They worked diligently to reach out to those who still clung to the past, inviting them to explore new paths. Through workshops and community events, they demonstrated the tangible benefits of unity. They showed how collaboration could solve problems more effectively than conflict ever could. It wasn't always easy. Some remained skeptical, entrenched in their beliefs. But for every voice of dissent, there were countless others ready to embrace change. As the seasons shifted, a profound transformation began to take root. The once divided factions slowly merged into a cohesive community, united by shared experiences and a common vision for the future. Together, they faced challenges head-on, finding solutions that honored their diverse perspectives. One fateful day, as the Academy prepared to host an intergalactic summit, excitement buzzed in the air. Delegates from neighboring planets were arriving to learn about the principles of the Academy and how humanity had transformed through unity. It was a chance to showcase their progress and extend the hand of friendship to other civilizations. Aria, Lyra, and Marcus stood together at the entrance, welcoming delegates from across the galaxy. As they exchanged stories and ideas, the energy in the room was electric. People gathered to learn about the power of connection, empathy, and shared purpose. Together, they were forging a path to a brighter future. As the summit unfolded, it became clear that the lessons learned on Earth resonated far beyond their planet. Delegates shared their own struggles and triumphs, highlighting the universal truth that connection is the antidote to conflict. The bonds forged in the summit created ripples that would extend into the cosmos. When the day came to a close, Aria stood before the gathered delegates, a sense of fulfillment washing. And connection. What if we redefine what it means to be strong together? The crowd fell silent, the tension hanging in the air as Marcus grappled with his emotions. He could feel the weight of their eyes on him, the hope flickering like a candle in the wind. It was a moment suspended in time, where past and future converged, and the potential for a new beginning shimmered on the horizon. Aria stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. Strength comes from our ability to face our fears and to choose love over hate. We've learned that true power lies in understanding and connection. We don't have to abandon who we are, we can transform it. As Marcus looked into the faces of his former allies, he felt a deep sense of yearning and desire to belong, to be part of something greater than himself. The voices of dissent faded, replaced by the collective energy of hope radiating from the crowd. He closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of connection wash over him, and for the first time in a long while, he felt the shackles of anger loosen. "I don't want to fight anymore," he said, his voice breaking. "I want to be part of this new world, but I don't know how." He glanced at Lyra, who smiled encouragingly, her eyes filled with compassion. "Then let us show you," she replied, stepping closer. "We all have something to learn. This is not just about you or me, it's about us, together." With those words, the atmosphere shifted again. The energy crackled in the air, and the crowd erupted in murmurs of agreement. People began to move closer, their hearts opening to the possibility of reconciliation. Aria, sensing the moment, called out, "Let's create a circle of understanding. Join hands, everyone. Let's share our thoughts, our fears, and our hopes. Let's find common ground." As people began to form a circle, Marcus found himself enveloped in the warmth of connection. The former loyalists hesitated, but Lyra reached out to them, inviting them to join. Slowly, they stepped forward, hand in hand, forming a bridge between the past and the future. In the center of the circle, Aria and Lyra guided the discussion, encouraging everyone to speak from their hearts. Stories flowed freely, a tapestry of experiences woven together by threads of vulnerability and understanding. Marcus listened intently as others shared their fears about losing control and their desires for safety and strength. He felt the weight of their emotions, and in turn, he shared his own struggles, the loneliness that came with isolation, the need for power that had driven him to dark places. "I thought power would fill the void," he confessed, "but it only deepened my sense of loss. I wanted to protect my people, but I ended up pushing them away." As Marcus spoke, he felt the energy shift once more. The crowd resonated with his honesty, and murmurs of agreement rippled through the circle. It was a moment of collective catharsis, a release of pent-up emotions that had burdened them all. One by one, others opened up about their own battles. An older woman, her voice shaking, spoke of the loss of her son in a conflict. "I thought I was fighting for a cause, but what did it cost me?" she said, tears streaming down her face. I want to believe we can find another way." The atmosphere grew heavy with shared grief, but amid the sorrow was a flicker of hope, a recognition that they were not alone in their suffering. Arya encouraged everyone to embrace their shared humanity, to understand that their pain could be a bridge rather than a barrier. As the discussion deepened, the energy in the circle became almost tangible. The group began to sense the potential for healing that lay within them. Ideas began to flow. How could they create a community based on empathy and collaboration? How could they transform their pain into a force for good? They discussed the Academy of Unity and how it could serve as a foundation for ongoing dialogue. They envisioned workshops that taught conflict resolution, artistic expression, and mindfulness practices. There was a palpable excitement as they brainstormed ways to expand the Academy's reach and influence, igniting the collective passion for change. In the midst of this energy, Marcus felt something shift within him, a realization that his identity did not have to be rooted in power or dominance. Instead, he could redefine himself as a facilitator of change, a bridge between past divisions and future possibilities. As the night wore on, the moon rose high above them, light their faces with silver light. It was a moment of rebirth, a testament to their collective journey. They knew that the path ahead would not be without challenges, but they also understood that they had the strength to face them together. When the gathering finally began to disperse, Arya looked around at the faces filled with hope and determination. "This is just the beginning," she said. "We have the power to shape our future, to reach out beyond our world. The Unity Project will continue to thrive, and together, we'll take our message of connection to the stars." In the days that followed, the momentum built. The Academy of Unity blossomed into a hub of creativity and collaboration, drawing people from all walks of life. They hosted workshops that explored the depths of empathy and the power of storytelling, encouraging everyone to share their truths. Marcus became a pivotal figure in this new movement. With Lyra by his side, he helped facilitate discussions that bridged divides and fostered understanding. He found purpose in guiding others toward connection, drawing on his own experiences to help them navigate their fears. Through the Academy, the group launched initiatives that took their message into the larger world. They organized community events that celebrated diversity and encouraged open dialogue, uniting people in ways they had never thought possible. As news of their efforts spread, neighboring communities began to take notice. The Academy became a model for conflict resolution, a testament to the transformative power of unity. Other factions, once filled with anger and division, reached out to learn from the Academy's principles. One day, as Arya stood in the atrium surrounded by students and community members, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The mural created by the Academy's first cohort was displayed prominently, each brushstroke a reflection of their journey. It depicted a vibrant tapestry of connected lives, an ever-expanding circle of hope and healing. But beneath the surface of this blossoming community, challenges still lurked. The remnants of the loyalists who had resisted change felt increasingly threatened by the rising tide of unity. As Marcus and Lyra worked tirelessly to bridge gaps, they learned that some were still clinging to the notion that strength was synonymous with domination. In a tense meeting one afternoon, a faction from the outskirts of the city confronted Marcus. "You've betrayed our cause," one shouted, anger boiling over. "You've become soft, and because of that, we will lose everything." The words cut deep, and Marcus felt the old wounds resurfacing. He stood before the group, heart racing, but he refused to back down. "I haven't betrayed anyone. I've found a better way, a way that brings us together instead of tearing us apart." The tension was thick as he addressed their fears. "We can be strong and still be united. True strength lies in our ability to understand and protect one another. We can grow without sacrificing who we are." The dissenters scoffed at his words, and Marcus felt a familiar anger rising within him. But he paused, grounding himself in the lessons he had learned. "You think strength means pushing others away, but I'm here to tell you it's the opposite. When we embrace our shared humanity, we become invincible." With that, he extended his hand, a gesture of peace. Some in the crowd hesitated, but others began to step forward, intrigued by the possibility of connection. Slowly, hands began to join in a circle, a reminder that the power of unity could prevail even in the face of dissent. Over time, the Academy continued to grow, adapting to the evolving landscape of their world. Marcus and Lyra became mentors to many, guiding them in cultivating their unique abilities to foster empathy and understanding. They worked diligently to reach out to those who still clung to the past, inviting them to explore new paths. Through workshops and community events, they demonstrated the tangible benefits of unity. They showed how collaboration could solve problems more effectively than conflict ever could. It wasn't always easy. Some remained skeptical, entrenched in their beliefs. But for every voice of dissent, there were countless others ready to embrace change. As the season shifted, a profound transformation began to take root. The once divided factions slowly merged into a cohesive community, united by shared experiences and a common vision for the future. Together, they faced challenges head-on, finding solutions that honored their diverse perspectives. One fateful day, as the Academy prepared to host an intergalactic summit, excitement buzzed in the air. Delegates from neighboring planets were arriving to learn about the principles of the Academy and how humanity had transformed through unity. It was a chance to showcase their progress and extend the hand of friendship to other civilizations. Aria, Lyra, and Marcus stood together at the entrance, welcoming delegates from across the galaxy. As they exchanged stories and ideas, the energy in the room was electric. People gathered to learn about the power of connection, empathy, and shared purpose. Together, they were forging a path to a brighter future. As the summit unfolded, it became clear that the lessons learned on Earth resonated far beyond their planet. Delegates shared their own struggles and triumphs, highlighting the universal truth that connection is the antidote to conflict. The bonds forged in the summit created ripples that would extend into the cosmos. When the day came to a close, Aria stood before the gathered delegates, a sense of fulfillment washing over her. She looked out at the diverse assembly, their faces reflecting hope, curiosity, and determination. Today marks a turning point not just for us, but for all civilizations seeking peace in a turbulent universe. We've come together not just to share our knowledge, but to create a network of unity that can transcend worlds. Applause erupted, resonating like a heartbeat of collective purpose. It was a sound filled with promise, a testament to what could be achieved when barriers fell and understanding reigned. As the delegates mingled, exchanging ideas and experiences, Aria felt a surge of gratitude for the journey they had undertaken. From the fractured beginnings to this vibrant gathering, every step had been worth it. Among the crowd, Marcus observed the connections forming before him. Delegates from distant planets engaged in animated discussions about shared challenges and collaborative solutions. He could see the seeds of understanding being sown, and a sense of pride filled him. The transformation within himself mirrored the change he witnessed in the community around him. Lyra joined Marcus, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Look at them. It's incredible to see how far we've come. This is what we dreamed of." Marcus nodded, his heart swelling with the realization of their journey. And it's only the beginning. We need to ensure that this network stays strong, that the lessons we've learned are shared across galaxies. As the evening approached, the atmosphere shifted. The delegates gathered for a banquet, an opportunity to celebrate their newfound connections. The tables were adorned with dishes from various planets, showcasing the rich diversity of their cultures. Laughter and conversation filled the air, weaving a tapestry of camaraderie. At one table, Aria found herself seated next to a delegate from a water-based planet. "On my world, we communicate through vibrations in the water," the delegate explained, gesturing to the glass of water in front of her. "It's a form of empathy that resonates deeply with our emotions." Intrigued, Aria leaned closer. "How can we apply that concept to our interactions here? Can we create a way to communicate that transcends words?" The delegate pondered for a moment, then smiled. "Perhaps we can develop a universal language based on shared experiences and emotions. Something that transcends spoken language, a resonance of the heart." Inspired, Aria shared the idea with others at the table. and soon a lively discussion erupted about the possibilities of cross-cultural communication. Concepts flowed like water, and laughter bubbled up as delegates shared stories and insights. The spirit of collaboration permeated the room, echoing the very essence of the Academy's mission. As the banquet continued, Marcus moved through the crowd, engaging with various delegates. He listened to their stories, absorbing their experiences and perspectives. It was a humbling experience, reminding him of the common thread that bound them all: the desire for connection and understanding. Eventually, Marcus found himself standing before a group of younger delegates from a vibrant planet known for its artistic expression. They were eager to share their creative processes, discussing how art served as a form of communication that transcended language barriers. Inspired, Marcus suggested they collaborate on a mural that could represent their shared vision for peace. The idea sparked enthusiasm, and soon plans were in motion to create a collective artwork that embodied their unity. The thought of this mural, a symbol of collaboration and hope, filled Marcus with a sense of purpose. It would be a tangible representation of their commitment to fostering connections, not just among themselves, but for future generations. As the evening wore on, Aria, Lyra, and Marcus gathered on a balcony overlooking the festivities. The stars twinkled above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the potential for connection beyond their world. They exchanged thoughts on the day's events, feeling the weight of their accomplishments. "Imagine what we can do next," Lyra said, her eyes shining with excitement. "This is just the beginning. We can expand our reach, bring more civilizations into our network of unity." Aria smiled, her heart full. "We've already proven that collaboration is possible. We need to keep building on that foundation. The Academy can be a model for others, a catalyst for change." Marcus nodded, a fire igniting within him. "We can't stop here. We need to create pathways for ongoing dialogue, not just between planets, but also within our communities. There are still those who resist change." The thought resonated with Aria and Lyra. They understood that while they had made great strides, the journey was far from over. Change would require continuous effort, open hearts, and a willingness to confront lingering fears. As they stood together, gazing out at the celebration below, a sense of determination washed over them. They would continue to fight for unity, to embrace the complexities of existence, and to nurture the bonds that could transcend worlds. The next morning, the summit kicked off with a series of workshops designed to promote collaboration and shared learning. Delegates from different planets led sessions on various topics: art as communication, conflict resolution, and building sustainable communities. The atmosphere was electric, buzzing with creativity and inspiration. Aria led a workshop on the importance of empathy in leadership. Drawing from her experiences in the Academy, she shared practical exercises that encouraged delegates to step into one another's shoes. "Empathy is the bridge that connects us," she said passionately. "It allows us to see beyond our own experiences and understand the richness of others' lives." As the delegates engaged in discussions and activities, the room filled with laughter and curiosity. Bonds formed as they learned from one another, recognizing that despite their differences, they shared a common goal: creating a better future. Meanwhile, Marcus found himself leading a session on collaborative problem solving. He encouraged participants to tackle real-world challenges together, fostering a spirit of cooperation. The discussions were lively, with delegates brainstorming innovative solutions to issues they faced on their home planets. At one point, a delegate from a planet ravaged by conflict shared her story, her voice shaking. "We've lost so much, and the scars run deep. But I believe that through collaboration, we can rebuild. We can create a new narrative." The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Marcus stepped forward, offering his support. "You're not alone. We've all faced challenges, and together, we can transform that pain into strength." As the workshops continued, the energy shifted. The delegates, once strangers, were becoming a community, united in their desire for change. New ideas emerged, and plans were formulated to establish a coalition that would continue to promote unity across galaxies. By the end of the summit, It became clear that this gathering had planted seeds of collaboration that would grow far beyond their expectations. The commitment to fostering connection would ripple through the cosmos, inspiring others to embrace the power of empathy. As the delegates prepared to depart, Aria, Marcus, and Lyra stood together, watching the ships lift off one by one. Each vessel carried with it a message of hope, a commitment to unity that would transcend worlds. "This is only the beginning," Lyra said, her heart soaring. "We've laid the groundwork, but we must continue to nurture these connections." Aria nodded, her gaze fixed on the stars. "And we will. We've learned that true power lies in our ability to connect, to share our stories, and to create together. Our journey doesn't end here. It expands into the universe." With that, they turned to each other, feeling the bond they had forged through their shared experiences. In that moment, they understood that their purpose was not only to advocate for unity, but to embody it, leading by example, extending their hands to those who needed it most. As the Academy of Unity continued to thrive, it became a beacon for all those seeking connection. Workshops flourished, community events blossomed, and the spirit of collaboration permeated every corner of the Academy. The mural that Marcus had envisioned became a reality, a stunning representation of the collective journey they had undertaken. In the months that followed, the Academy attracted individuals from far and wide. People came seeking knowledge, healing, and a sense of belonging. The principles of empathy and connection spread like wildfire, igniting a movement that reached across the stars. Yet, even as they celebrated their successes, Marcus, Aria, and Lyra remained vigilant. They understood that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. Dissent still lingered among those who clung to the past, and they were committed to engaging with those individuals to foster understanding. One day, as Marcus was working on a new initiative aimed at outreach, he received a message from a group of dissenters who wanted to meet. They expressed their concerns about the Academy's influence, fearing that unity would lead to the loss of their identity. Gathering his thoughts, Marcus prepared for the meeting. He approached it with an open heart, determined to listen and understand their perspective. When the day arrived, he found himself face to face with individuals he had once viewed as adversaries. "Thank you for meeting with us," one of the dissenters began, their tone cautious. "We have concerns about the direction the Academy is taking. We fear that our way of life is being threatened." Marcus took a deep breath, grounding himself in the lessons of empathy he had learned. "I appreciate your willingness to share your concerns. This is a space for dialogue. Let's talk about what unity means and how we can preserve our identities while fostering connection." As the conversation unfolded, he listened intently, validating their feelings while also sharing his own journey. "I once believed that power was the answer, but I've learned that true strength lies in our ability to connect and understand one another." Slowly, the tension began to ease. The dissenters shared their stories, and Marcus found common ground in their experiences. They spoke of their fears, their losses, and their hopes for the future. As they exchanged perspectives, the space became a crucible for transformation. The energy shifted from confrontation to collaboration, as Marcus worked to cultivate an atmosphere of openness and vulnerability. As they shared their narratives, Marcus noticed the walls between them beginning to crumble. The dissenters revealed their fears about losing their culture and identity in a rapidly changing world. They spoke of traditions that had been passed down through generations, which felt threatened by the growing emphasis on unity. "I understand your concerns," Marcus said gently. "It's vital to honor and celebrate our unique identities. Unity doesn't mean erasing differences. It means weaving them into a richer tapestry of existence. We can create a space where all voices are heard." The dissenters exchanged glances, their initial skepticism giving way to curiosity. One elder spoke up, his voice cracking with emotion. "We've lost so much in this struggle for power. It's hard to believe that we could find strength in togetherness." Marcus leaned in, his heart open. "I was once lost in that struggle too. I thought power meant isolation, but I discovered that true strength comes from connection. When we unite our voices, we amplify our impact. We can protect our traditions while building bridges to new possibilities. Encouraged by his sincerity, the dissenters began to reflect on their own experiences. They discussed their cultural practices, their rituals, and the deep roots they held within their communities. Marcus listened intently, taking mental notes, eager to find ways to honor these traditions in the context of the academy. As the dialogue deepened, they began brainstorming ideas for collaborative projects that could preserve their identities while fostering connection. What if they hosted cultural exchange events? What if they created an archive within the academy dedicated to sharing stories, traditions, and art from all cultures represented? "I think that could work," one of the dissenters said, their voice gaining strength. "It would allow us to showcase who we are while also engaging with others. It's a way to build respect and understanding." "That's exactly it," Marcus replied, a sense of exhilaration rising within him. "By sharing our stories, we create pathways for empathy and connection. We honor our past while embracing the future." As they wrapped up their meeting, a palpable shift had occurred. The dissenters were no longer adversaries. They were potential allies, united by a shared goal of creating a vibrant, inclusive community. Marcus felt a profound sense of relief, knowing they had taken the first step toward reconciliation. In the weeks that followed, the Academy began implementing the ideas generated during that pivotal meeting. They organized cultural exchange events where communities could share their customs, art, and stories. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter, learning, and mutual respect. On the day of the first event, the courtyard of the Academy was transformed into a vibrant tapestry of colors and sounds. Booths representing different cultures lined the space, each adorned with unique artifacts, traditional attire, and food. As the sun warmed the sky, the air was thick with the aromas of diverse cuisine, spices, and flavors that told stories of distant lands. Area welcomed everyone with a heartfelt speech, highlighting the importance of celebrating diversity as a cornerstone of unity. "Today, we honor our differences while recognizing our shared humanity," she said, her voice carrying over the excited chatter. "May this event be a reminder that connection enriches us all." As the day unfolded, people moved from booth to booth, immersing themselves in the stories and traditions of others. Marcus watched with a sense of pride as delegates from different planets engaged in conversations, their barriers slowly fading away. At one booth, a group of artists demonstrated their traditional craft of weaving, while nearby, musicians played harmonious melodies that echoed through the courtyard. Children laughed and danced, their joy infectious, bridging cultures through shared celebration. As the sun dipped low in the sky, the courtyard was awash in golden light, and a sense of community enveloped everyone. Marcus stood with Lyra and Aria, taking in the scene before them. "This is what we envisioned," Lyra said, her eyes shimmering. "Connection in its purest form." But amid the joy, Marcus felt a familiar knot of tension in his stomach. He knew that while they had made great strides, not everyone was on board. The dissenters who had agreed to collaborate were just one part of a larger tapestry of opinions and beliefs. "Let's not forget that we still have work to do," Marcus said, his voice thoughtful. "There are still those who resist change, who feel threatened by this new vision." Aria nodded, her expression serious. "We need to keep reaching out. This event is just a start. It's essential to continue building bridges and engaging in dialogue, even with those who are skeptical." As the festival drew to a close, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that the work of connection was ongoing, a journey that required patience and resilience. The following days were filled with planning and strategizing, as they considered how to expand their efforts beyond the Academy. They organized forums that invited dissenters and skeptics to engage in open discussions. These forums were designed to create safe spaces for dialogue, where individuals could voice their fears and concerns without judgment. It was a delicate balance, nurturing empathy while confronting deeply held beliefs. During one forum, a woman spoke up, her voice trembling. "I worry that if we embrace unity too fully, we'll lose the essence of who we are. My family has lived by these traditions for generations, and it feels like they're being swept away." Marcus met her gaze, sensing the weight of her words. Your traditions are invaluable. They enrich our community. Unity doesn't mean conformity. It means we create a space where all traditions can coexist. Together, we can celebrate our differences while forging deeper connections. The conversation continued, sometimes tense, as participants shared their fears and hopes. Marcus facilitated the dialogue, ensuring everyone felt heard. With each exchange, he could sense the walls beginning to crack. It was a slow process, but progress was evident. As the forums progressed, Marcus noticed a shift among some dissenters. They began to engage more openly, asking questions and sharing their own experiences. A collective curiosity emerged, breaking down barriers that had once felt insurmountable. During one particularly impactful forum, an elder from a traditionally resistant faction spoke up. I was skeptical about this whole idea of unity. I thought it would erase who we are. But listening to all of you share your stories, I see that there's a way to embrace our differences without losing ourselves. I want to be part of this. The room erupted in applause, and a wave of energy surged through Marcus. He could feel the momentum building, the realization that they were on the cusp of something transformative. The academy was evolving into a space of inclusivity, a haven for those seeking understanding. Weeks turned into months, and the community around the academy continued to flourish. The cultural exchange events became regular occurrences, growing in scope and participation. New initiatives emerged, focusing on art, storytelling, and collaborative projects that honored the rich tapestry of experiences. Marcus, Aria, and Lyra worked tirelessly to ensure that the principles of empathy and connection remained at the forefront of their efforts. They understood that unity was not a destination, but a journey, one that required continuous nurturing and effort. As they prepared for their next major event, a gathering that would celebrate the culmination of their efforts, Marcus felt a blend of excitement and trepidation. It would be a moment to showcase the progress they had made, but it would also serve as a test of their commitment to fostering unity. The day of the gathering arrived, and the academy buzzed with anticipation. Delegates from across the galaxy were invited to witness the transformation and engage in meaningful dialogue. Marcus felt a flutter of nerves as he stood before the crowd, ready to address everyone. He cleared his throat and looked out at the diverse assembly, his heart pounding. Welcome, everyone. Today, we celebrate not just our achievements, but the journey we've undertaken together. Our differences are our strengths, and our shared humanity is what binds us. As he spoke, he reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The challenges, the doubts, and the triumphs each moment had contributed to the tapestry they were now weaving together. He felt a surge of gratitude for the connections they had forged, knowing that every story shared was a thread in that tapestry. After his address, the gathering shifted to interactive workshops designed to foster dialogue and collaboration. Participants moved freely between sessions, sharing ideas and engaging in creative expression. The atmosphere was electric, charged with the spirit of unity and possibility. One workshop focused on the power of storytelling as a means of connection. Participants shared personal narratives, weaving their experiences into a collective narrative that highlighted the richness of their diverse backgrounds. As the stories unfolded, laughter, tears, and understanding filled the space. At another session, Marcus facilitated a creative collaboration between artists from different planets. They explored ways to incorporate their unique styles into a joint artwork, emphasizing the importance of synergy and mutual respect. It was a celebration of individuality and community intertwined. As the sun began to set, the gathering culminated in a vibrant celebration. Music, dance, and art filled the courtyard, reflecting the diverse cultures represented. Laughter echoed through the night as people came together, reveling in the joy of connection. Amidst the festivities, Marcus spotted the elder who had spoken at one of the forums. They exchanged a knowing glance, a silent acknowledgement of the journey they had undertaken together. The elder approached him, a warm smile on their face. "I never thought I would find myself here," they said, gesturing to the celebration around them. "But witnessing the transformation has opened my heart. I see now that unity doesn't mean losing who we are. It means embracing who we can become together. Marcus felt a swell of pride. That's exactly it. Together, we can create a future that honors our past while inviting new possibilities. It's a delicate balance, but it's one we can navigate together. The elder nodded, their eyes sparkling with newfound hope. I want to help others understand this. So many still fear change, but I believe that if we share our experiences, we can help them see the beauty in collaboration. Encouraged, Marcus proposed an initiative where elders from various cultures would lead discussions within their communities. They could act as ambassadors of change, bridging the gap between tradition and unity. The elders' enthusiasm was infectious, and they quickly agreed to help organize the first session. As the celebration continued, the air filled with a palpable sense of possibility. Delegates mingled, exchanging ideas and forging connections that transcended mere acquaintances. The festival felt like a living testament to the Academy's mission, a vibrant embodiment of empathy, collaboration, and shared dreams. After the gathering, Marcus, Aria, and Lyra gathered to reflect on the day. I can't believe how far we've come, Aria said, her voice filled with awe. Each event builds upon the last, creating a momentum that feels unstoppable. Lyra grinned, her excitement palpable. And it's not just the events themselves, it's the conversations that happen afterward. People are sharing their experiences and creating deeper connections. Marcus felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. We've created a space where people feel safe to express themselves. It's vital to keep nurturing that environment, especially as we reach out to those who remain hesitant. The three friends began brainstorming ideas for future initiatives. They envisioned workshops that delved deeper into conflict resolution and understanding. They discussed how to incorporate storytelling more prominently in their events, allowing people to share their journeys in a way that fostered connection. In the following weeks, the energy at the Academy was electric. New ideas flowed freely, and the community thrived as more individuals from various cultures joined their efforts. The collaborative projects blossomed, and the mural that Marcus had envisioned began to take shape, a stunning representation of unity and diversity. The mural became a focal point of the Academy, depicting the rich tapestry of stories that had come together. It was a living canvas, continually evolving as new contributions were added, each stroke of paint telling a story, each color representing a unique culture. As the mural neared completion, Marcus organized a community event to unveil it. He wanted to celebrate not only the artwork, but the journey it represented, the countless stories, the struggles, and the triumphs that had led them here. On the day of the unveiling, the courtyard was filled with anticipation. The vibrant colors of the mural stood out against the backdrop of the setting sun, casting a warm glow over the gathering. Delegates from various planets came together, their faces lit with excitement. Aria stepped forward to address the crowd. Today, we celebrate not just a work of art, but the incredible journey we've undertaken together. This mural represents our shared commitment to unity, a testament to the connections we've forged. As she spoke, Marcus felt a surge of pride for everything they had accomplished. He had watched as skepticism transformed into curiosity and then into collaboration. Each individual in the crowd played a part in this journey, and it was a beautiful thing to witness. Once Aria concluded, the crowd eagerly gathered around the mural, examining the intricate details. Each section told a story, vivid depictions of cultural traditions, shared experiences, and moments of connection. Laughter and chatter filled the air as people shared their interpretations and connected over the artwork. Marcus made his way through the crowd, absorbing the joy around him. He spotted the elder he had spoken with earlier, surrounded by a group of young people, sharing stories about their culture's history. The elder's voice was animated, and the youth listened with rapt attention. Marcus felt a warmth in his heart, knowing that this was the ripple effect of their efforts. As night fell, the courtyard transformed into a magical space filled with twinkling lights. Music played softly in the background, and people began to gather around the mural for a ceremonial lighting. This moment symbolized their commitment to nurturing the connections they had forged. Lyra took the lead, guiding the crowd in a brief meditation to center their intentions for the future. Let's take a moment to reflect on what this mural represents: the stories, the struggles, and the unity we've built. As we light these candles, let's commit to carrying this spirit forward. One by one, they lit candles, the soft glow light their faces. The atmosphere was filled with a sense of reverence and gratitude. Each flickering flame represented a promise, a commitment to continue the work of connection, to embrace empathy, and to honor their shared humanity. After the ceremony, the crowd broke into smaller groups, engaging in conversations that lingered long into the night. Marcus found himself drawn into discussions about expanding their initiatives to reach even more communities. People shared their ideas, each one contributing to the ever-growing vision of unity. As the gathering began to wind down, Marcus stepped back to take in the scene. The mural, now fully lit by the soft glow of candles, stood as a beacon of hope. He felt a sense of accomplishment, but he also recognized that the work was far from over. In the months that followed, the Academy continued to flourish. The outreach initiatives expanded, and the conversations sparked by the mural created a ripple effect throughout the galaxy. More individuals and communities sought to join the Academy, drawn by the promise of connection and understanding. However, with growth came challenges. As the Academy gained prominence, so did the attention of those who remained resistant to change. A faction that had initially been silent began to voice their concerns more vocally, criticizing the Academy's emphasis on unity and collaboration. Their rhetoric focused on the idea that the Academy was erasing cultural identities in favor of a homogenized existence. They rallied others who felt similarly threatened, and tensions began to rise. Marcus, Aria, and Lyra were aware that they had to address this opposition thoughtfully, without alienating those who had once been adversaries. They organized a series of open forums, specifically addressing these concerns. Marcus felt a sense of responsibility to engage with those who opposed their vision, recognizing that the path to true unity required facing discomfort head-on. During one forum, a leader of the dissenting faction stood up, their voice filled with passion. "We believe that the Academy's ideals threaten the very essence of our cultures. This is about survival, not just for us, but for future generations. We fear that the push for unity will erase our unique identities." Marcus met their gaze, aware of the weight of their words. "I understand your fears, and they are valid, but our goal is not to erase identities. Instead, we believe that unity can enhance our individuality. We can create a world where our diverse cultures thrive together." The room was tense, but Marcus pressed on, emphasizing the importance of dialogue. "Let's find common ground. We can celebrate our differences while also building connections. This isn't about losing what makes us unique. It's about finding strength in diversity." As he spoke, he noticed some nodding along, a flicker of understanding sparking in their eyes. "Let's explore how we can showcase our cultures within this framework. What if we create events specifically designed to honor our traditions while promoting dialogue?" The dissenting leader paused, considering his words. "That could work, but it would require trust. Trust that this isn't a ploy to overshadow our traditions." "I'm committed to earning that trust," Marcus replied earnestly. "I invite you to collaborate with us. Let's co-create events that celebrate your culture while also opening up the space for dialogue." Over the following weeks, the discussions evolved. The dissenting faction began participating in the forums, sharing their experiences and ideas. Slowly, they transformed from opponents into collaborators, driven by a mutual desire to honor their identities. One particularly impactful event emerged from these discussions, a festival dedicated to cultural expression, where communities could showcase their unique traditions. The event would not only celebrate diversity, but also facilitate conversations about unity. As the festival approached, excitement filled the air. The Academy became a hive of activity, as everyone prepared to share their cultures and stories. Marcus, Aria, and Lyra worked tirelessly, collaborating with the dissenting faction to ensure that the event was inclusive and representative. On the day of the festival, the courtyard was alive with energy. Colorful banners adorned the space, and booths representing various cultures lined the path. Traditional music echoed through the air, and the scent of diverse cuisines wafted enticingly. The festival featured storytelling sessions, workshops, and performances, each showcasing the richness of their diverse backgrounds. People moved freely between booths, engaging in conversations that sparked connection and understanding. As the day unfolded, Marcus felt a sense of fulfillment. The festival was a testament to their shared commitment to unity, a space where identities were celebrated rather than overshadowed. Conversations flowed, laughter filled the air, and a palpable sense of community enveloped everyone. In one corner, the dissenting leader led a storytelling session, sharing their culture's rich history. The crowd listened intently, captivated by the tales woven together. It was a powerful moment of connection, demonstrating the beauty of sharing experiences. As the sun began to set, the festival culminated in a communal celebration. People gathered to reflect on the day, expressing gratitude for the connections forged and the stories shared. The spirit of unity resonated throughout the crowd, a collective acknowledgement of their journey together. As the evening drew to a close, Marcus stood at the heart of the gathering, feeling a sense of gratitude wash over him. He had witnessed the transformative power of empathy, the capacity for individuals to come together despite their differences. As he looked around at the faces lit by the soft glow of lanterns, he understood that the journey toward unity was ongoing. It would require continuous effort, resilience, and a commitment to engaging in the difficult conversations. In the months that followed, the Academy continued to thrive, becoming a beacon of hope and connection for those seeking to bridge divides. The festival had sparked a renewed energy, and the collaborative spirit that had taken root began to flourish in unexpected ways. As the community gathered regularly for cultural exchange events, more individuals felt empowered to share their traditions, arts, and stories. The Academy became a hub of creativity and learning, with workshops that taught everything from traditional crafts to contemporary art forms that blended various influences. Marcus, Aria, and Lyra dedicated themselves to nurturing this growth. They established mentorship programs where experienced members of the community could guide newcomers in sharing their cultures. This initiative fostered a sense of belonging and ownership among participants, who began to feel that their voices mattered in the tapestry they were weaving together. One day, Marcus received a message from a distant planet known for its rich storytelling traditions. The elders of that community expressed their interest in collaborating with the Academy to host a series of storytelling workshops. They wanted to share their oral traditions, passed down through generations, and believed that the Academy's commitment to unity could amplify their stories. Marcus was thrilled. "This is a fantastic opportunity," he exclaimed, sharing the news with Aria and Lyra. "Imagine the depth and richness we can gain from their perspectives. It could inspire our community to explore new ways of storytelling." Aria's eyes sparkled with excitement. "We could integrate their techniques into our current storytelling workshops, blending styles and cultures. It's a perfect example of how collaboration can enhance our understanding of each other." Lyra added, "And we can encourage participants to create their own stories by weaving elements from different traditions. That would honor our commitment to unity while celebrating diversity." They quickly set to work, organizing the logistics of the collaboration. Communication with the distant planet involved a mix of video calls and written exchanges, each one filled with enthusiasm and ideas. The elders shared the intricacies of their oral traditions, explaining how storytelling was a vital means of preserving their history and values. The day of the first storytelling workshop arrived, and the courtyard buzzed with anticipation. Delegates from the distant planet were welcomed with open arms, their presence a testament to the bonds that were forming. Marcus stood at the forefront, welcoming everyone with a heartfelt speech. "Today, we gather not just to listen, but to engage in a rich exchange of stories," he said. "We honor the traditions that have shaped us and embrace the opportunity to learn from one another. Let this be a day of connection, where we weave our narratives together." As the workshops commenced, the energy in the courtyard was electric. The elders from the distant planet demonstrated their storytelling techniques, captivating the audience with their rhythmic cadence and vivid imagery. They wove tales that spoke of their ancestors, the land, and the values that had guided their people for generations. Participants were invited to share their own stories, inspired by the teachings they had just received. One by one, individuals stepped forward, their voices trembling at first but growing stronger with each word. They shared tales of resilience, love, and the bonds that transcended time and space. Among those who shared was a young girl named Mira, who had come with her family to the Academy's events for the first time. Taking a deep breath, she recounted a story from her grandmother about the importance of family and tradition. As she spoke, the crowd leaned in, captivated by her sincerity. When she finished, applause erupted, filling the courtyard with warmth. Mira's eyes sparkled with surprise and joy. She hadn't expected such a positive reaction. The elders nodded in approval, their hearts swelling with pride for the young storyteller. As the day progressed, participants began to experiment, blending elements from different traditions into their narratives. They created stories that celebrated their unique backgrounds while finding common themes that connected them. Laughter and tears mingled as the storytelling brought forth emotions that resonated with everyone. The workshops concluded with a communal storytelling circle, where everyone gathered to share their newfound stories. The air was thick with anticipation as each person took turns weaving together their experiences, enriching the tapestry of narratives that surrounded them. As night fell, the courtyard transformed into a magical space filled with twinkling lights and the gentle hum of conversations. The storytelling circle became a celebration of unity, and the participants felt a sense of belonging that had been absent before. Marcus watched with pride, knowing that this gathering was more than just an event. It was a testament to their collective journey. They had created a space where voices that had once been silenced could be heard and valued. But as they celebrated their successes, Marcus also recognized the importance of acknowledging the work still ahead. The tension with a dissenting faction hadn't fully dissipated, and he sensed that lingering skepticism could resurface if they weren't careful. In the days following the workshop, Marcus and his friends held a meeting to discuss how to maintain the momentum they had built. "We need to ensure that the dissenters feel included in our initiatives," Arias suggested. "We've made strides, but there are still those who feel marginalized." Lyra agreed. "What if we invite some of them to co-host the next event? It could demonstrate our commitment to collaboration and give them a platform to share their concerns." "That's a great idea," Marcus replied, inspired by their enthusiasm. "Let's create an event that showcases not just the Academy's initiatives, but also the diverse perspectives within our community." They set to work, brainstorming themes and activities that would resonate with both supporters and skeptics. The event was designed to foster dialogue and encourage participation, allowing individuals to share their experiences in a safe and welcoming environment. As the date approached, Marcus felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. He understood that this was an opportunity to build bridges, but also a moment where tensions could reignite if not handled thoughtfully. On the day of the event, the courtyard was adorned with banners representing various cultures, each one telling a story of its own. The atmosphere was alive with energy, filled with laughter, conversations, and the scent of diverse cuisines wafting through the air. Marcus took the stage, his heart pounding. "Welcome, everyone. Today, we gather not only to celebrate our achievements, but to engage in meaningful dialogue. Our differences are not something to be feared. They are the essence of who we are. Let's create an environment where every voice matters." As he spoke, he noticed a mix of expressions in the crowd: hope, skepticism, curiosity. The challenge was to turn that curiosity into understanding. The event featured a series of workshops, panels, and discussions, inviting both supporters and dissenters to share their perspectives. The format encouraged open dialogue, creating spaces where individuals could voice their concerns without fear of judgment. One panel discussion focused on the challenges of maintaining cultural identity in an increasingly interconnected world. It featured representatives from both the Academy and the dissenting faction, each sharing their experiences and insights. As the conversation unfolded, Marcus was heartened to see the respectful exchange of ideas. Dissenting voices were heard, and the audience engaged with thoughtful questions. It was a powerful reminder that even amidst differences, empathy could pave the way for understanding. Later in the day, an elder from the dissenting faction stepped forward, sharing their thoughts on preserving cultural identity while embracing unity. "I've seen how our traditions can coexist with new ideas," they said, their voice steady. "But it requires a willingness to listen and to understand that our differences can enrich our shared experience." Marcus felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. This was the essence of what they had been striving for: an open dialogue that honored all perspectives. The room erupted in applause, a testament to the shared commitment to understanding. As the event drew to a close, Marcus felt a renewed sense of hope. They had created a space where dissenting voices could be part of the conversation, fostering a deeper sense of connection within the community. In the following weeks, the Academy continued to build on the momentum from the event. The dissenting faction became more involved, participating in planning future initiatives. Collaborative projects flourished, and the spirit of unity that had taken root was now blossoming into something profound. However, with growth came challenges. As new communities joined the Academy, tensions arose around differing perspectives on how to celebrate cultural identities. Some newcomers felt that certain traditions were being overshadowed, while others argued for a more inclusive approach. Marcus and his friends recognized that navigating these complexities would require ongoing dialogue and a commitment to empathy. They organized community forums to address concerns, ensuring that everyone had a voice in shaping the direction of the Academy. During one particularly tense forum, a representative from a newly joined community expressed frustration. "We feel like our traditions are being diluted in the push for unity. It's not that we don't want to connect, but we fear losing our unique identities in the process." Marcus listened intently, acknowledging their concerns. "Your traditions are invaluable, and we want to celebrate them fully. Let's explore ways to showcase your culture within our framework of unity. We can find a balance that honors both diversity and collaboration." The room was charged with emotion, but the openness of Marcus's response seemed to create a space for understanding. "It's essential that we listen to each other," he continued. "This isn't about erasing differences, it's about weaving them into a richer narrative." As the discussions continued, participants began to share their ideas for future events that could spotlight different cultures, ensuring that each community felt represented. Together, they crafted plans for themed gatherings that would celebrate individual traditions while promoting dialogue. The collaborative spirit deepened, and new initiatives emerged, such as mentorship programs connecting established members with newcomers. This allowed individuals to share their traditions and histories in a way that fostered appreciation and respect. As the Academy thrived, Marcus found himself reflecting on the journey they had undertaken. They had transformed skepticism into collaboration, creating a vibrant community where every voice mattered. The work of connection was ongoing, but each step forward felt like a testament to their shared commitment to unity. As the months passed, the Academy became known not just as a gathering place, but as a sanctuary for those seeking understanding. Each event contributed to a deeper sense of belonging, and Marcus felt the energy of collaboration pulsing through the community. Stories shared in workshops echoed in hallways, and laughter lingered in the air long after gatherings had ended. One evening, Marcus, Aria, and Lyra sat together in the courtyard, discussing their upcoming initiative, a cultural exchange program that would send representatives from the Academy to various planets to learn about different traditions firsthand. The idea was to immerse themselves in diverse cultures, fostering greater understanding and empathy. "This could be a game changer," Aria said, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Imagine what we could bring back: new perspectives, new stories, new connections." Lyra nodded in agreement. "It's essential that we not only share our own culture, but also actively seek to understand others. It's a two-way street." Marcus smiled, feeling the excitement ripple through them. "Let's start by inviting representatives from the dissenting faction to help shape the program. Their insights will be invaluable in ensuring we approach this with sensitivity and respect." With a renewed sense of purpose, They drafted an invitation, extending it to community leaders from the dissenting faction. To their delight, the response was overwhelmingly positive. A collaborative committee was formed, bringing together individuals from various backgrounds to design the program. The planning sessions were rich with dialogue, as members shared their visions for the initiative. They discussed the importance of authentic engagement, how to truly listen and learn from the communities they would visit. Ideas flowed freely, and the atmosphere was electric with possibility. As they finalized the details, the excitement in the air was palpable. Participants would be chosen through a community selection process, ensuring diverse representation. The goal was to create a reciprocal exchange that would benefit both the Academy and the cultures they would explore. On the day of the first selection event, the courtyard was filled with eager faces. Marcus stood at the front, welcoming everyone with a speech that emphasized the importance of the program. "This is an opportunity for us to broaden our horizons, to embrace the richness of the universe around us," he said, his voice resonating with passion. "Let's choose representatives who are ready to learn and share their stories." As the selection process unfolded, participants shared their motivations for wanting to embark on this journey. Some spoke of their desire to honor their ancestors, while others expressed a longing to connect with the wider universe. The diversity of reasons reflected the core values of the Academy: empathy, understanding, and shared humanity. When the representatives were finally chosen, a sense of pride washed over Marcus. They had selected individuals who embodied the spirit of collaboration, eager to learn and share. The program was set to launch in just a few weeks, and the anticipation was infectious. In the days leading up to the launch, the community buzzed with excitement. Preparations for the exchange were meticulous, ensuring that participants would be equipped with knowledge about the cultures they would visit. Workshops focused on cultural sensitivity, active listening, and storytelling techniques were organized to prepare everyone for the experience. Finally, the day arrived. The courtyard was alive with energy as the representatives gathered for a ceremonial send-off. Friends and family filled the space, their faces lit with pride and anticipation. Marcus took the stage, his heart swelling with gratitude for the collective journey they had undertaken. "Today, we celebrate not just the representatives we're sending out into the universe, but the spirit of connection that unites us all," he said, his voice steady. "May you carry our stories with you and return with new ones that will enrich our community." As the representatives set off, a wave of excitement washed over the Academy. The cultural exchange program was a tangible embodiment of their mission, a living, breathing testament to the power of unity and understanding. Weeks turned into months as the representatives embarked on their journeys, immersing themselves in diverse cultures and learning invaluable lessons along the way. They returned to the Academy with stories that light their experiences, each one adding a new thread to the tapestry of narratives they had been weaving together. One representative, Curran, shared tales from a planet known for its vibrant festivals. "The colors, the music, the sheer joy of celebration, it was like nothing I've ever experienced," Curran said, their eyes shining with excitement. "I learned that celebration is a universal language. It connects us all, no matter our background." Another representative, Anya, spoke of the deep connections she formed with a community that practiced ancient healing traditions. "I was welcomed into their homes, and they shared their wisdom with me," Anya said, her voice filled with reverence. "It reminded me of the importance of listening to the stories behind the practices. Each ritual holds meaning, a connection to their ancestors." As the representatives shared their stories, the courtyard became a lively forum of discussion and reflection. People engaged in conversations about the lessons learned, the common threads that united their experiences, and the cultural nuances that made each journey unique. However, as the exchange program gained momentum, it also revealed underlying tensions that needed to be addressed. Some members of the community began to voice concerns about how stories were being shared. They worried that certain cultures were being romanticized or misrepresented, which could perpetuate stereotypes rather than foster understanding. Marcus recognized the importance of addressing these concerns head-on. "We need to create a space for honest dialogue about representation," he said during a meeting with Arya and Lyra. It's essential that we approach this with humility and a willingness to learn from those whose stories we share. They organized a community forum specifically focused on representation and storytelling. The aim was to create a safe environment for individuals to voice their concerns and share their perspectives. As the forum unfolded, a range of opinions emerged, each one contributing to a deeper understanding of the complexities involved. One community member, Elise, spoke passionately about her experiences. When we share stories from other cultures, we need to ensure that we're not speaking over them. Their voices should be at the forefront, not ours. It's vital that we honor their narratives and allow them to tell their own stories. Marcus nodded in agreement, grateful for Elise's courage in addressing the issue. You're absolutely right. We have a responsibility to uplift the voices of those we represent. Let's work together to ensure that our initiatives reflect that commitment. The forum concluded with a collective agreement to establish guidelines for storytelling practices. They would emphasize collaboration with cultural representatives, ensuring that stories were shared authentically and respectfully. This commitment to ethical storytelling became a cornerstone of their initiatives moving forward. In the months that followed, the Academy continued to evolve. The emphasis on ethical representation opened new doors for collaboration with diverse communities, allowing them to share their traditions in meaningful ways. Workshops emerged that taught individuals how to engage in respectful dialogue about cultural practices, bridging gaps between different perspectives. As the Academy flourished, Marcus often found himself reflecting on the journey they had undertaken. The transformation from skepticism to collaboration was remarkable, but he also recognized that growth came with challenges. One evening, while gazing at the mural that had become a symbol of their unity, he turned to Arya and Lyra. We've accomplished so much, but there's still work to be done. How do we continue to evolve and address the complexities that arise? Arya smiled thoughtfully. We can't shy away from the difficult conversations. It's those very discussions that lead to growth and understanding. We must embrace discomfort as part of our journey. Lyra added, and we should encourage more people to participate in shaping our initiatives. The more voices we include, the richer our tapestry becomes. With a renewed sense of purpose, they organized a series of open forums focused on ongoing dialogue about representation, identity, and unity. These sessions became a platform for individuals to share their thoughts, experiences, and suggestions for improving their initiatives. As the community engaged in these conversations, new ideas emerged. Participants suggested hosting a series of cultural showcases that would celebrate individual traditions while emphasizing the shared values that united them. This initiative aimed to create a space where everyone felt valued and heard. The first cultural showcase was set to take place in the courtyard, and the anticipation was palpable. Marcus, Arya, and Lyra worked tirelessly to ensure that the event would reflect the diverse tapestry of stories within their community. On the day of the showcase, the courtyard buzzed with energy. Colorful displays adorned the space, showcasing various cultures through art, music, and food. Each booth invited attendees to explore the richness of different traditions, and the atmosphere was one of celebration and connection. Marcus took the stage, addressing the crowd with enthusiasm. Today, we honor the vibrant tapestry of our community. Each of you plays a crucial role in this journey of unity. Let's celebrate our differences and embrace the connections that bind us together. As the showcase unfolded, people moved from booth to booth, immersing themselves in the diverse traditions on display. Live performances filled the air with music and dance, and storytelling sessions captivated audiences as they shared their unique narratives. Throughout the day, conversations flourished. Individuals engaged in discussions about their cultural practices, sharing insights and fostering connections. The energy in the courtyard was electric, a tangible representation of the unity they had been striving for. As the sun set, the showcase culminated in a communal gathering, where participants shared their reflections on the day. Marcus felt a wave of gratitude wash over him as he listened to the voices around him, each one adding to the collective narrative they were weaving together. In that moment, He realized that the journey toward unity was not a destination, but an ongoing process, a continuous evolution fueled by empathy, understanding, and collaboration. Each challenge they faced became an opportunity for growth, each dialogue a chance to deepen their connections. As the Academy continued to flourish, Marcus understood that their work was far from over. They had laid the groundwork for a community built, creating mentorship programs where individuals from different backgrounds could collaborate on projects together. The dialogue circle became a lively exchange of ideas, fostering a sense of shared ownership over the community's direction. As the weeks rolled by, the dialogue circles became a staple of life at the Academy. Each session revealed new layers of complexity within the community, and Marcus felt an invigorating sense of purpose as he watched people engage with one another. The circles not only provided a platform for expressing concerns, but also helped to cultivate a culture of empathy and understanding. One evening, during a particularly poignant circle, an older member named Samuel shared a story from his youth. "When I was a child, my family faced discrimination because of our customs. It made me reluctant to embrace my heritage, to hide parts of myself to fit in," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "It wasn't until I found communities like this one that I learned the importance of embracing who I am." His words resonated deeply with many attendees, sparking a cascade of personal stories that followed. People began to share not only their struggles, but also their triumphs, the ways they had reclaimed their identities, and the importance of community support in that journey. After Samuel spoke, a young woman named Leela, who had recently joined the Academy, hesitated before sharing. "I grew up feeling invisible," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "But being here has changed that. I've learned that my voice matters. I want to contribute to our story, but I'm still figuring out how to express my culture authentically." Her vulnerability opened the floodgates for others. Participants shared their fears of inadequacy, their desires to learn from one another, and the longing to create a space where everyone felt they belonged. The atmosphere shifted from one of uncertainty to empowerment, and as the circle came to a close, there was a palpable sense of connection. "Let's build on this," Marcus suggested as the circle ended. "We can create small project groups focusing on individual cultures, giving everyone a chance to lead and share their traditions. It's an opportunity for those who want to take the reins and share their stories." The idea was met with enthusiasm, and in the weeks that followed, project groups formed around various cultures represented in the Academy. These groups met regularly to discuss their histories, traditions, and ways they could present their cultures to the wider community. Each group operated under the principle of collaboration, ensuring that multiple voices were heard and honored. As the project groups began to share their progress, the Academy buzzed with excitement. Cultural showcases were scheduled, and the community prepared for a series of events that would celebrate the richness of their diverse identities. Marcus felt a deep sense of pride watching his friends and neighbors engage passionately with their heritage. One day, while preparing for an upcoming showcase, Arya approached Marcus with an idea. "What if we invited the dissenting faction to collaborate on one of the showcases? It could help bridge gaps and create a shared experience." Marcus pondered the suggestion. "That's a brilliant thought. It's essential that we demonstrate that collaboration doesn't mean erasing differences. It's about amplifying voices. Let's reach out and see if they're interested in participating." They extended an invitation to the dissenting faction leaders, emphasizing the goal of creating a space for collaboration and understanding. After a few days, they received a positive response. The leaders expressed their willingness to participate, seeing it as an opportunity to build connections and share their stories. As the day of the showcase approached, excitement filled the air. The courtyard was transformed with vibrant decorations that reflected the various cultures represented. Each booth invited attendees to explore different traditions through art, food, music, and storytelling. On the day of the showcase, the atmosphere was electric. Families, friends, and community members filled the courtyard, their laughter mingling with the melodies of traditional music. Marcus stood at the front, welcoming everyone with a heartfelt speech. "Today, We come together not just to celebrate our individual cultures, but to honor the unity we've built as a community. Each of you plays a vital role in this tapestry we're weaving, and today, we invite you to immerse yourselves in the richness of our diverse stories. As the event unfolded, attendees moved from booth to booth, eager to learn and engage. The dissenting factions booth drew a crowd, with members sharing their cultural practices and explaining the significance behind them. Conversations flowed naturally as people asked questions and shared their own experiences. In one corner, a group gathered around a storyteller from the dissenting faction, captivated by a tale of resilience and tradition. The air was thick with emotion, as stories of struggle and triumph resonated with many in the audience. Nearby, Leela and her project group presented their showcase, highlighting the customs and traditions from her heritage. She felt a mix of nerves and excitement as she spoke, her voice steady as she shared the stories of her ancestors. The warmth and support from the crowd fueled her confidence, and as she concluded, applause erupted, filling her heart with pride. The showcase continued throughout the day, each presentation reinforcing the importance of collaboration and understanding. Attendees engaged in dialogue, discussing their cultures and finding common threads that connected them. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the courtyard, Marcus gathered everyone for a closing circle. Thank you all for your incredible contributions today. This showcase is a testament to what we can achieve when we embrace our differences and work together. The crowd cheered, their voices a symphony of unity and celebration. Marcus felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him, knowing that they were creating a legacy of connection that would continue to thrive. In the days that followed, the momentum from the showcase didn't wane. Inspired by the energy of collaboration, project groups began planning additional events, workshops, and cultural exchanges that would continue to foster understanding. However, as the academy flourished, Marcus was acutely aware that challenges still lay ahead. While the showcase had built bridges, there remained a need to address underlying tensions that could arise from misunderstandings or miscommunications. In a meeting with Arya and Lyra, he voiced his concerns. "We've made incredible strides, but we can't be complacent. We need to keep the dialogue going and ensure that everyone feels included in our initiatives." Arya nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps we could implement regular feedback sessions after events. That way, we can hear directly from participants about their experiences and any concerns they might have." Lyra added, "We should also focus on creating spaces for deeper conversations about identity and representation. It's vital that we continue to educate ourselves and one another." With a renewed commitment to maintaining an open dialogue, they organized a series of feedback sessions following each event. These sessions became platforms for attendees to share their thoughts, insights, and suggestions, ensuring that every voice was heard. The feedback sessions revealed valuable insights. Participants expressed appreciation for the Academy's efforts, but also highlighted areas for improvement. They emphasized the importance of ensuring that all cultures were represented fairly and respectfully, fostering a sense of ownership among community members. As they implemented changes based on the feedback, the Academy grew stronger. Marcus felt encouraged by the community's willingness to engage in ongoing conversations, reflecting a shared commitment to growth and understanding. However, amidst the positive momentum, Marcus received a message from the dissenting factions' leaders. They expressed concerns about the portrayal of their culture during recent events, suggesting that some elements had been misrepresented. Marcus took a deep breath, recognizing the gravity of the situation. He gathered Arya and Lyra, and they discussed how to approach the matter. "We need to listen to their concerns without defensiveness," Marcus said. "It's essential that we create an environment where they feel safe to voice their perspectives." The trio reached out to the dissenting faction, inviting them to a meeting to discuss their concerns openly. On the day of the meeting, Marcus felt a mix of apprehension and determination. He understood that this was an opportunity to strengthen their relationship and ensure that their collaborative efforts were rooted in respect. As the dissenting faction leaders arrived, Marcus welcomed them warmly. "Thank you for being here today. We appreciate your willingness to engage in this conversation. Our goal is to create a space where everyone feels honored and respected. The leaders expressed their concerns regarding specific portrayals and emphasized the importance of authentic representation. They shared stories of how misinterpretations could perpetuate stereotypes and undermine the rich complexities of their culture. Marcus listened attentively, acknowledging their perspectives. Thank you for sharing your experiences. It's clear that we need to take greater care in how we present cultural narratives. Let's work together to establish guidelines that ensure accurate representation moving forward. The conversation evolved into a collaborative brainstorming session, with both sides sharing ideas on how to improve the Academy's approach to storytelling and cultural representation. The leaders offered insights into their customs and traditions, emphasizing the significance of context and authenticity. By the end of the meeting, a sense of camaraderie had blossomed. The dissenting faction leaders appreciated the Academy's willingness to listen and adapt. Together, they drafted a set of guidelines that would inform future events and initiatives, ensuring that the narratives shared were rooted in authenticity and respect. As the Academy moved forward, the new guidelines became a guiding framework for all cultural initiatives. The collaborative spirit that had defined their journey deepened, and members of the dissenting faction became active participants in planning future events. The community continued to grow, and the dialogue circles became more dynamic, incorporating the lessons learned from recent discussions. Each session was infused with a sense of urgency, a commitment to maintaining the Academy's foundation of understanding and collaboration. One evening, as Marcus reflected on their journey, he realized that the Academy had become a living testament to the power of connection. They had created a space where voices that had once been silenced could be amplified, where stories interwove into a rich tapestry of shared experience and determination to keep nurturing the community they had built. The Academy was more than just a gathering space. It was a living organism, constantly evolving and adapting to the needs of its members. In the weeks that followed, the feedback sessions and collaborative meetings infused new energy into the Academy. The guidelines for cultural representation began to shape the way events were planned and executed, emphasizing authenticity and respect. Participants became more involved in the process, eager to share their stories and help guide the narrative. During one of the dialogue circles, a new initiative emerged, a storytelling festival that would bring together artists, performers, and storytellers from various cultures to share their narratives in a celebration of unity. The idea was met with resounding enthusiasm, and a committee was formed to organize the event. Marcus watched as the committee came together, a tapestry of individuals from different backgrounds collaborating on a shared vision. They brainstormed ideas for the festival, discussing everything from performance formats to workshops that would educate attendees on storytelling techniques from various cultures. Area suggested incorporating a story booth, where attendees could record their personal stories or share family traditions. This way, we can create a digital archive of our community's narratives, she proposed. It'll be a lasting testament to the diversity within our Academy. The idea resonated with everyone, and they began to work on logistics, ensuring that the booth would be accessible and inviting. As they planned, the anticipation for the storytelling festival grew, and the community buzzed with excitement. Weeks later, the festival day arrived, and the courtyard was transformed into a vibrant tapestry of color, sound, and storytelling. Banners flapped in the gentle breeze, each representing a different culture. Booths lined the perimeter, offering interactive experiences for attendees to engage with various traditions. Marcus stood at the entrance, greeting attendees as they arrived. The energy was palpable, and he felt a deep sense of pride swelling in his chest. This was the culmination of their collective efforts, a celebration of the unique narratives that shaped their community. The festival kicked off with a grand opening ceremony, where Marcus welcomed everyone and set the tone for the day. Today, we come together to honor the stories that make us who we are. Each voice matters, and every narrative weaves into the rich tapestry of our community. Let's embrace this opportunity to listen, learn, and share. As the performances began, Marcus was captivated by the array of talent on display. storytellers transported the audience to distant lands, weaving tales of heroism, love, and resilience. Traditional music filled the air, inviting people to dance and celebrate the joy of connection. Throughout the day, attendees flocked to the story booth, eager to share their narratives. Some spoke of their ancestors and the traditions passed down through generations, while others shared personal stories that resonated deeply with those listening. The recordings became a living archive of the community's experiences, capturing the essence of their journey together. During a workshop on storytelling techniques, participants explored the art of weaving narratives that reflect their cultural backgrounds. Leela, who had previously struggled with sharing her own story, led a session on using metaphors and symbolism to convey deeper meanings. As she spoke, she felt a surge of confidence, realizing that her voice was not just valuable but essential to the community's growth. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over the courtyard, the festival reached its climax. A group of storytellers gathered for a closing performance, each sharing a piece of their culture that resonated with themes of unity and resilience. When Marcus stepped up to share his own story, he felt a mix of vulnerability and strength. He spoke of the challenges they had faced, the misunderstandings that had arisen, and the power of community in navigating those complexities. He concluded with a powerful message: "Our stories bind us together, reminding us of our shared humanity. Let's continue to honor one another, listen deeply, and grow together." As the final applause echoed through the courtyard, a sense of accomplishment washed over him. The festival had not only showcased their diversity, but had also reinforced the importance of collaboration and understanding. In the days that followed, the recordings from the story booth became a central topic of discussion. The community committee proposed creating a digital library where these stories could be accessed by all, allowing future generations to learn from the narratives shared. Excitement surged as they set about building the library, and the community began contributing not only recordings but also written accounts, photographs, and artifacts that encapsulated their traditions. Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose as he watched individuals take ownership of this project, eager to ensure that their stories would be preserved for years to come. However, as the digital library began to take shape, concerns about privacy and representation emerged. Some community members expressed hesitation about sharing their stories publicly, fearing misinterpretation or exploitation. Understanding the importance of addressing these concerns, Marcus convened a meeting with the committee to discuss how to navigate the complexities of storytelling in a digital age. "We need to prioritize consent and ensure that everyone feels comfortable with how their narratives are shared," he emphasized. "Let's create guidelines for participation that prioritize individual agency." The committee brainstormed solutions, ultimately deciding to implement a consent process that would allow individuals to choose how their stories would be shared. They would also ensure that contributors had the opportunity to review any content before it was published. As they rolled out the library, Marcus felt a sense of pride in their collective commitment to ethical storytelling. The digital archive became a living resource, showcasing not only their diverse backgrounds but also the journey they had undertaken together. Months passed, and the Academy continued to thrive. The dialogue circles remained a vital part of community life, serving as spaces for ongoing reflection and growth. As new members joined, the commitment to inclusivity and collaboration deepened, creating a rich environment for learning. One evening, while gathered around the fire during a dialogue circle, a new member named Jadon spoke up. "I've been following the journey of the Academy from afar, and it's inspiring to see how you've cultivated such a strong sense of community. But I also wonder, how do you ensure that the conversations don't become echo chambers? How do you invite dissenting opinions?" Marcus considered the question carefully. "That's an important concern, Jadon. We've learned that embracing diverse perspectives is crucial for growth. We must actively seek out voices that challenge us and create spaces where those voices feel safe to speak." Lyra added, "One way to do this is by inviting guest speakers from outside the Academy who can provide fresh perspectives. We can also facilitate discussions on contentious topics, ensuring that everyone understands the importance of respectful dialogue. The group engaged in a spirited discussion about potential speakers and topics, brainstorming ways to keep the conversations dynamic and inclusive. As they planned for future events, Marcus felt a renewed sense of excitement. The journey they had embarked upon was ongoing, with each step bringing new opportunities for connection. As the seasons changed, the Academy prepared for its annual retreat, a time for reflection and rejuvenation. The retreat would focus on community-building activities and workshops designed to deepen relationships and explore collective goals. During the retreat, attendees participated in team-building exercises, storytelling workshops, and discussions about the Academy's vision for the future. The atmosphere was filled with laughter, camaraderie, and a shared sense of purpose as they engaged in activities that emphasized collaboration. One workshop centered on envisioning the future of the Academy. Participants gathered in small groups to discuss their hopes and dreams for the community. The conversations flowed freely, and as Marcus walked around, he was struck by the enthusiasm and creativity in the air. One group proposed expanding the cultural exchange program to include virtual exchanges, allowing members from different parts of the universe to connect and share their traditions. Another group suggested launching a mentorship program that paired experienced community members with newcomers, fostering relationships and encouraging participation. As they compiled their ideas, it became clear that the community was eager to continue evolving. The retreat culminated in a closing circle where each group shared their visions, and the energy in the room was electric. Marcus felt a swell of gratitude as he listened to the dreams and aspirations voiced by his community. Thank you all for your incredible contributions. This retreat has shown me the depth of our potential. Let's commit to supporting one another as we turn these visions into reality. As the retreat concluded, attendees returned to the Academy invigorated and inspired. They carried with them a renewed sense of connection, ready to take on the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. In the months that followed, the Academy embraced the ideas generated during the retreat. The virtual cultural exchange program was launched, allowing members from across the universe to connect and share their traditions. The mentorship program paired newcomers with experienced members, fostering deeper relationships and encouraging participation in various initiatives. As these programs unfolded, Marcus felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The Academy had transformed into a vibrant hub of collaboration, where stories were shared, traditions celebrated, and voices uplifted. However, as the Academy continued to grow, so did the complexity of its dynamics. With new members came diverse perspectives, and Marcus recognized the importance of ensuring that every voice felt valued and heard. One evening, during a dialogue circle, an unexpected discussion arose. A newcomer expressed frustration over feeling overlooked in conversations dominated by more established voices. "I want to contribute, but sometimes it feels like my ideas are dismissed," they shared, their vulnerability palpable. The room fell silent, and Marcus felt the weight of the moment. "Thank you for sharing that," he said softly. "It's vital that we acknowledge these feelings. How can we create a culture where everyone feels empowered to contribute?" The group engaged in a reflective discussion, acknowledging the importance of inclusivity. They brainstormed strategies for ensuring that quieter voices were amplified, such as implementing a rotating facilitation model during dialogue circles that allowed everyone an equal opportunity to lead discussions. Concerted effort to create spaces where diverse voices could be heard and where quieter members felt encouraged to share their thoughts. They also discussed the idea of using smaller breakout groups during larger gatherings, allowing individuals to express themselves more comfortably before reconvening as a whole. In the following weeks, Marcus and his fellow leaders implemented these changes during dialogue circles and other community gatherings. They introduced a practice where everyone would have a chance to share, either verbally or through written contributions, ensuring that those who were less comfortable speaking up could still express their ideas. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Members reported feeling more included and valued, and new perspectives began to emerge in discussions. The Academy's commitment to inclusivity was evolving, and Marcus felt a sense of pride in the collective effort to create an environment where everyone could thrive. As the months passed, the Academy prepared for a new cultural festival celebrating not only individual cultures but also the concept of collective identity. This event would highlight the interconnectedness of their stories, emphasizing the idea that while their backgrounds were distinct, their shared experiences wove a complex tapestry. Marcus, Aria, and Lyra met frequently to discuss logistics, themes, and programming. They envisioned an event that would showcase performances that blended various cultural traditions, as well as workshops encouraging participants to explore the intersections of their identities. The festival was set for the spring, a season symbolizing renewal and growth. As they planned, Marcus took time to reflect on how far the community had come. The challenges they had faced, from misunderstandings to the need for greater representation, had led to a deeper understanding of one another. As the festival date approached, excitement buzzed through the Academy. Members collaborated across cultural lines, crafting performances that incorporated elements from various traditions. A group of musicians composed a piece that fused different musical styles, while dancers choreographed a routine that blended movements from multiple cultures. On the day of the festival, the courtyard transformed into a vibrant celebration. Colorful banners hung overhead, and stalls offered food, art, and activities representing diverse traditions. Marcus stood at the entrance, welcoming attendees with a warm smile, grateful for the sense of community that permeated the air. The opening ceremony began with Marcus addressing the crowd. Today, we gather to celebrate not only our individual identities, but the beautiful intersections of our stories. Each of you plays a crucial role in this community, and together, we create something extraordinary. As the performances began, the courtyard resonated with energy. Musicians played a fusion of instruments from different cultures, their melodies intertwining in a harmonious celebration. Dancers moved gracefully, weaving together styles that spoke to their diverse backgrounds. Throughout the day, attendees explored various workshops and activities that encouraged engagement. In one corner, a storytelling workshop led by Leela invited participants to share personal narratives, while another space focused on collaborative art, where individuals created a mural reflecting the themes of unity and diversity. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the courtyard, Marcus felt a surge of gratitude for the journey they had undertaken. The festival embodied the spirit of the Academy, an ever-evolving community where stories intertwined, and every voice contributed to a greater narrative. Later in the evening, the festival culminated in a closing performance that featured highlights from the day's activities. A diverse group of performers took the stage, showcasing the fusion of their cultures through dance, music, and storytelling. The audience erupted into applause, celebrating the beauty of their shared experiences. As the final notes echoed and the crowd cheered, Marcus stepped forward once more. Thank you all for being a part of this incredible day. Let's carry this spirit of collaboration and understanding into our everyday lives. Together, we can continue to weave our stories and create a vibrant tapestry of unity. As the festival came to an end, the sense of camaraderie lingered in the air. People mingled, sharing their thoughts about the day and discussing how they could continue to engage with one another moving forward. However, as the initial excitement began to settle, Marcus recognized that challenges would continue to arise. It was vital for the community to remain committed to the principles of inclusivity and representation, even as they celebrated their successes. In the weeks that followed the festival, Marcus observed how the Academy continued to evolve. New members joined, each bringing fresh perspectives and experiences. While the excitement of the festival had created a powerful sense of unity, Marcus was mindful of the need to sustain that momentum. During a dialogue circle, he brought up his concerns. I think we've made tremendous progress, but we must be vigilant in maintaining the openness and inclusivity that have defined our journey. We can't let ourselves become complacent. The group engaged in a lively discussion, reflecting on the importance of staying connected to one another and addressing any emerging issues promptly. They brainstormed ways to keep the lines of communication open, including regular check-ins to ensure that everyone felt heard and valued. As they continued to meet, it became clear that the community was committed to evolving together. Members expressed a desire to create more opportunities for collaboration, such as community service projects that would allow them to give back while strengthening their bonds. Marcus and the group initiated a series of service projects, partnering with local organizations that aligned with their values. The projects ranged from environmental cleanups to volunteering at shelters, allowing community members to work together toward a common goal while deepening their connections. As they engaged in these activities, the Academy's members found new ways to celebrate their diversity. The shared experiences fostered a sense of belonging and camaraderie, reinforcing the idea that they were not only a collection of individual stories, but a united community with a shared purpose. One afternoon, as they participated in a local park cleanup, area suggested, "Why don't we host a community picnic after this? It would be a great way to unwind and celebrate our work together." The idea was met with enthusiasm, and plans were quickly set in motion. The community rallied together, bringing dishes that reflected their cultural backgrounds. The picnic would not only be a celebration of their collective efforts, but also an opportunity to strengthen relationships through food, laughter, and storytelling. On the day of the picnic, the park was filled with the aroma of diverse dishes and the sound of laughter. Marcus felt a sense of joy as he watched people connect over shared meals, exchanging stories about their cultures and experiences. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the gathering, Marcus stood up to address the group. "Today is a testament to our commitment to each other and to our community. Let's continue to celebrate our differences while recognizing the common threads that bind us together." As they shared their meals, stories flowed freely, and the atmosphere was filled with warmth and connection. In that moment, Marcus felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey they had undertaken together. The Academy had transformed into a living tapestry, woven together by the stories of its members. In the following months, the Academy continued to thrive, fueled by the collaborative spirit that had defined their journey. The dialogue circles remained a cornerstone of community life, evolving into spaces for deeper reflection and exploration of complex topics. However, Marcus also recognized the challenges that came with growth. As the community expanded, there were instances of misunderstandings and miscommunications that arose. It became clear that addressing these issues head-on would be crucial for maintaining the harmony they had built. During a dialogue circle, a new member voiced concerns about feeling excluded from certain discussions. "I sometimes feel like the conversations revolve around a specific group, and I'm not sure how to engage without stepping on toes." Marcus listened carefully, empathizing with the member's feelings. "Thank you for sharing that. It's vital that we create a space where everyone feels empowered to contribute. How can we ensure that we're fostering an inclusive environment?" The group engaged in a constructive discussion, exploring ways to create more equitable conversations. They proposed rotating discussion leaders to ensure that everyone had an opportunity to guide conversations, as well as implementing check-in moments where members could voice any concerns or feelings of exclusion. As they refined their practices, Marcus felt a renewed commitment to cultivating an environment of respect and understanding. The dialogue circles evolved into vibrant spaces where individuals could express their thoughts, knowing they would be met with empathy and openness. With each passing month, the Academy deepened its roots in the community. The commitment to service projects continued, and members found fulfillment in giving back while strengthening their bonds. They organized cultural workshops, inviting local experts to share their knowledge and skills, further enriching the community's tapestry. However, as the Academy flourished, Marcus recognized that they needed to establish mechanisms for ongoing feedback and growth. He proposed implementing regular community surveys, allowing members to voice their thoughts on initiatives, events, and overall satisfaction with their experiences. The surveys became a vital tool for reflection, providing valuable insights into the community's needs and aspirations. As they analyzed the feedback, the Academy continued to adapt and evolve, remaining responsive to the voices of its members. During one analysis session, the group noticed a recurring theme in the feedback: members expressed a desire for more opportunities to connect across cultures. Inspired by this input, they brainstormed ideas for new initiatives, such as themed cultural nights where different groups could showcase their traditions and practices. As the plans for these cultural nights took shape, Marcus felt a sense of excitement. This was an opportunity to create spaces for deeper engagement and learning, reinforcing the idea that while their identities were unique, their stories were intertwined. The first cultural night was set for the summer, and anticipation filled the air as community members prepared to share their traditions. Marcus worked closely with the organizing committee, ensuring that each group felt supported in presenting their culture authentically. On the night of the event, the atmosphere was electric. The courtyard was transformed into a vibrant celebration of diversity, with booths representing various cultures, each showcasing unique practices, food, and stories. As attendees moved from booth to booth, they engaged in lively conversations, eager to learn and share. The sense of connection was palpable, and Marcus felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. As he watched individuals share laughter and stories, each interaction weaving new threads into the fabric of their community. The cultural night was a kaleidoscope of experiences. A group of dancers performed traditional folk dances, their colorful costumes swirling in sync with a rhythm of drums and melodies that echoed through the courtyard. Nearby, a cooking demonstration showcased recipes passed down through generations, filling the air with the enticing aroma of spices that stirred memories for many. As the night unfolded, Marcus moved among the attendees, soaking in the joy and connection that enveloped the space. He stopped at a booth dedicated to storytelling, where an elder from the community shared tales of resilience and courage from their cultural heritage. The crowd listened intently, captivated by the way the stories bridged generations and offered lessons in perseverance. Inspired, Marcus decided to take a moment to share his own story. He climbed onto a small platform, a space that had become an informal stage for spontaneous sharing throughout the night. "I want to thank each of you for being here tonight and for sharing your culture with us," he began, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "I believe that every story shared here adds to the richness of our community, reminding us that we are all interconnected." He recounted his journey, from the initial hesitations and misunderstandings within the academy to the vibrant tapestry they had created together. "This evening represents not just the cultures we each bring, but the unity we've forged through our commitment to understanding one another. Let's continue to weave our stories together and celebrate the beauty of our diversity." As he spoke, the crowd erupted into applause, and Marcus felt a sense of belonging wash over him. He was grateful for the journey they had all undertaken and the bonds they had formed. After the performance, attendees gathered around tables adorned with dishes from various cultures, each person encouraged to try something new. Conversations flowed freely, and as people sampled foods, they shared the stories behind the recipes, the memories attached to each bite. Amid the laughter and camaraderie, a group of younger members suggested a collaborative art project. They envisioned creating a mural that would encapsulate the essence of their community, blending symbols and imagery that represented their diverse backgrounds. The idea was met with enthusiasm, and plans were quickly set in motion for a community art day. In the weeks leading up to the mural project, excitement bubbled within the academy. Workshops were organized to brainstorm ideas, and members of all ages contributed designs, colors, and themes that resonated with them. As they worked together, the project became a platform for deeper conversations about identity, belonging, and the stories they wanted to tell through art. On the day of the mural painting, the courtyard buzzed with energy. People of all ages gathered with brushes, paints, and an eagerness to express themselves. Marcus looked around, filled with gratitude for the community's creativity and collaboration. The day was not just about painting, it was about storytelling through art, capturing the essence of their shared journey. As the mural began to take shape, individuals painted their symbols, each stroke representing their unique narratives. Leela contributed a series of interwoven vines, symbolizing growth and connection, while Aria painted a phoenix rising, representing resilience and the transformative power of community. Others added elements from their own cultures, creating a harmonious blend of colors and stories. Throughout the day, laughter echoed as people shared their artistic interpretations and engaged in conversations about the significance of their contributions. The mural became a reflection of their collective spirit, a tangible representation of the tapestry they had woven together. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the courtyard, Marcus stepped back to admire the mural. It was a breathtaking mosaic of stories, each piece interlocking to form a greater whole. He felt a surge of pride, recognizing that this mural would stand as a testament to their journey, a reminder of the beauty that emerged when diverse voices came together. With the mural complete, the Academy decided to host an unveiling ceremony. The event would not only celebrate the artwork, but also provide an opportunity for members to reflect on their shared experiences and reaffirm their commitment to inclusivity. On the day of the unveiling, the courtyard buzzed with anticipation. Community members gathered around the mural, their excitement palpable. Marcus took a moment to thank everyone for their contributions and for the stories that had shaped the artwork. "This mural represents our journey. Every stroke, every color, every symbol tells a part of our story," he began. "It's a reminder that our differences are what make us strong, and together, we can create something beautiful." As the crowd erupted into applause, he pulled back the cloth that concealed the mural, revealing the vibrant tapestry they had created together. Gasps of awe filled the air as attendees took in the intricate details and the interconnectedness of the designs. After the unveiling, the community engaged in discussions about the meanings behind the symbols and the stories each member had contributed. The mural sparked deeper conversations about identity, history, and the importance of honoring diverse narratives. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting hues of orange and pink across the sky, the atmosphere was charged with a sense of unity. Marcus felt a renewed commitment to fostering an environment where everyone's voice was valued and where stories continued to shape their collective identity. In the following months, the Academy thrived. The mural became a focal point for gatherings and discussions, a symbol of their commitment to inclusivity. The community embraced opportunities to collaborate and engage with one another, further strengthening their bonds. However, Marcus knew that sustaining this momentum would require ongoing effort. During a dialogue circle, he raised the importance of periodically revisiting their values and practices to ensure they remained true to their commitment to inclusivity. As we continue to grow, let's not lose sight of the principles that brought us together in the first place, he urged. The group engaged in a reflective discussion, revisiting their mission and values. They acknowledged the need to adapt and respond to the evolving dynamics within the community while staying rooted in their shared purpose. Inspired by this dialogue, they decided to create a community manifesto, a living document that would outline their core values and commitment to inclusivity. The manifesto would be crafted collaboratively, inviting input from all members and reinforcing their collective vision for the future. In the weeks that followed, workshops were held to gather ideas and perspectives for the manifesto. Members shared their thoughts on what inclusivity meant to them, how they could foster understanding, and the ways they could support one another. As the manifesto took shape, it became clear that it would serve not only as a guide for the Academy, but also as a reminder of their shared journey. Each member contributed to the document, ensuring that it reflected the diverse voices and experiences that defined their community. When the manifesto was finalized, a special ceremony was held to celebrate its completion. The community gathered in the courtyard, surrounded by the vibrant mural that represented their collective spirit. Marcus stood before them, filled with pride. "Today, we come together not only to unveil our community manifesto, but to reaffirm our commitment to each other," he said. "This document reflects our shared values, our dedication to inclusivity, and our promise to honor every voice within our community." As he read through the manifesto, the crowd listened intently, absorbing the essence of their collective vision. It spoke to their commitment to fostering understanding, creating spaces for dialogue, and celebrating the richness of their diverse identities. When he finished, a sense of unity filled the air. The community members clapped and cheered, knowing that this manifesto would guide their journey moving forward. It was a powerful reminder of their shared commitment to growth, understanding, and connection. In the months that followed, the Academy continued to thrive, drawing on the strength of the manifesto as they navigated new challenges and opportunities. The commitment to inclusivity and understanding became a cornerstone of their gatherings, influencing the way they interacted and collaborated. However, as the Academy grew, Marcus recognized the importance of mentorship within the community. Newer members sometimes felt overwhelmed by the established dynamics, and he saw an opportunity to create a system that would nurture connections across generations. Inspired by this realization, he proposed a mentorship program that would pair experienced members with newcomers, fostering relationships and encouraging engagement. The idea was met with enthusiasm, and a committee was formed to develop the program. As they rolled out the mentorship initiative, Marcus was filled with optimism. The program would not only support newcomers, but also create opportunities for seasoned members to reflect on their own journeys and share their experiences. In the first months of the program, pairs began to form, each mentoring relationship unique in its focus and dynamics. Some pairs engaged in deep conversations about cultural identity and the challenges of belonging, while others collaborated on projects, drawing on each other's strengths. During a check-in session, participants shared their experiences and insights. One mentor spoke of the joy of witnessing their mentee grow in confidence, while a mentee expressed gratitude for the guidance and support they had received. The stories shared during these sessions reinforced the importance of mentorship as a vital part of the Academy's fabric. As the program evolved, the community continued to flourish. Members engaged in projects together, fostering collaboration and deepening connections. The Academy became a vibrant space for learning, growth, and celebration. However, as new challenges arose, Marcus remained vigilant. He recognized that navigating the complexities of inclusivity required ongoing reflection and adaptation. During a dialogue circle, he proposed revisiting their manifesto regularly to ensure it continued to resonate with their evolving community. The group agreed, establishing a practice of revisiting the manifesto twice a year to reflect on its relevance and make any necessary updates. This commitment to continuous growth reinforced their dedication to fostering an environment where everyone felt heard and valued. With each passing season, the Academy continued to thrive, weaving together stories, cultures, and experiences into a rich tapestry of unity. The commitment to inclusivity remained at the forefront, guiding their actions and decisions. As Marcus looked around at the vibrant community they had built, he felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey they had undertaken together.